Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere north of Alligator Alcatraz. My name is BrianEngelman. Today is, what is today? Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025, and this is the TNAM Daily Show here on the new American media, because the old American media has failed you. Something has changed in my studio. Don't know why. The image is flip-flopped, and I'm no longer having to coordinate opposite when I'm pointing. I don't know what changed. I don't know why. But welcome. We're going to talk about Alligator Alcatraz. We're going to talk about all of the things. We're going to talk about Diddy not guilty on most things. We're going to talk about President Trump winning a massive lawsuit against CBS for election interference. Yes, the deep state Democrats who've been whining and crying about election interference. Remember when they tried to frame President Trump for stuff he didn't do? Remember he was a Putin puppet? Remember they wouldn't shut up for 8 years about it?
Watch what hydrogen peroxide actually does.
Okay. I love when I turn down all the volume and then you go to another screen and the volume's up again. It's like, no, I already addressed that. The left has been trying to frame, imprison, and explode President Trump for 9 years now, 10 years. It's exhausting. It's old. You're childish. You're immature. Nobody likes you or your party. Democrats, go away. Go away. They slandered President Trump non-stop about Russia, Ukraine, as Joe Biden and Hunter Biden were money laundering like crazy through there, allegedly. As Victoria Nuland and Barack Hussein Obama and Joe Biden were pushing for an escalation of an arms race of NATO creeping ever closer to the Russian border until you finally got a Russian response. And then you blamed Russia. Russia's so bad. Russia. Trump's a Putin puppet. It's like, oh, it's just part of your plan to pin the tail on Russia. Everything they've been doing has been to pin the tail on Russia. I'm not telling you you need to love Russia. I don't particularly care. I don't have a horse in the race. But it's obvious when you see what the deep state's been up to and how they've been framing Trump. It all starts to make sense. You find a boogeyman, and everyone I don't like is Hitler. Everyone I don't like is a Russian asset. Everything I don't like is because of Putin and Putin's puppets and election interference. Election interference. Was it now? Because you couldn't steal it for Hillary, so you had to lie about it and say, oh no, it was interference. No, Russia must have got into our voting machine. Russia must have voted or something. Then in 2020, you did what we know you did in 2020. Oh, you're damn right we know what you did. And now, look at what's happening. 2024, the media tried to do it again, colluding with the deep state Democrats, the divisive deep state Democrat demons. They rigged their primaries to install Kamala. And then they put people out there like CBS. Oh, they did an interview with Kamala and it went horribly. You know why? Because she's a horrible candidate. Might even be a horrible person. I don't know, but she's a terrible candidate. But they just thought they were going to be able to cram that down your throat. Geez, I mean, if this American public's going to believe that Joe Biden totally got 81 million completely legitimate votes, wink, wink, we can cram Kamala Harris down the country's throat. What are they going to do about it? Well, they're going to sue about it. That's what they're going to do about it. President Trump just won a big lawsuit. Also, University of Penn, UPenn, University of Pennsylvania. Guess what? That Thomas nightmare is over. The dude pretending to be a woman to win awards, stealing awards from women. Oh, we got an update for you here. Insanity is finally back on track. President Trump has higher approval ratings than Ronald Reagan. The tariffs are bringing in unprecedented piles of cash. Inflation would be going down. The interest rates would be going down if the Federal Reserve wasn't a private banking entity. With this Jerome Powell clown saying, hey, you know what's going to make things better? Let's make people pay 7% interest on a house. Let's keep interest rates super high through the roof for no apparent reason. Interest rates are a scam. We'll get to all of that later. I'm getting a little too far ahead of my intro here, but there is so much to talk about today. So, without further ado, hit like, hit subscribe, join the comments over here on the side as Deboruni, the Sacramento. I don't know. You know what I'm saying. Join the conversation like Deb is doing. It's so weird not pointing opposite sides. There's like a mirror effect. And I don't know how to switch it back, but I'm going to try to do so. And I feel like there's a mosquito in here that's bitten me about 20 times since the show started. So I'm going to have to address that as we begin. But let's just get to it, jump to the day's topics, and begin. The TNAM Daily Show here on the New American Media, a division of the Agree to Disagree show. Let's go.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.
And yes, this is actually one of those shows that I should have probably added to share it on our YouTube channel for the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. Yeah, seriously, I feel like I've been bitten about 20 times since I sat down. I don't know what's occurring. I'm going to have to track this down. I don't see anything, but I'll keep you posted as we go. All right, Deb is here. Alligator Alcatraz theme song needs to be Crocodile Rock or Fraggle Rock. Down at Fraggle Rock, down at Alligator Alcatraz. That's a little tougher to say. Yes, Deboruni, the Sacramento treat, of course. Russia, 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 Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. It's the perfect way to sum up what the media, the Democrat deep state media, has been doing to President Trump to frame him for Russian collusion, Russian interference. And it's been American media, deep state media, Democrat media running interference on the election, running collusion to rig their elections. Oh, yes. I will say that in no uncertain terms. Also, under duress, someone's forcing me to say this. For countervailing views on health and elections, go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control. They'll tell you I'm probably full of it. However, they are the ones that are full of it. Agreed. Sanity is back at the helm. It just kind of feels like across the board, things are getting better on every metric that you can. That's stuck to that. Why did that do that? went to lift my coffee and it was stuck to a document. It was stuck to a document because there's adhesive on the document. That would be why. Yeah, sanity back at the helm. So much to get into. So let's get started. Let's just go ahead and jump over to our Instagram feed. If you're not following us on Instagram, you need to switch your media, open 3-dot menu. Where's a 3-dot menu? Something's changed on Restream, so now I'm getting new. Click a 3-dot menu. Where's 3-dot menu? And click replace. Huh? To switch your media, open 3-dot menu. There's no replace on the 3-dot menu. What the hell are they talking about? Okay. Nope, I didn't want to replace it. I just wanted to... Okay, yeah, my software has changed, and it's leading to a very clunky beginning to today's program. All right. Like we were saying here, what was I saying here? I was saying 35 different things, and now all my control panels are different right now. I really wish companies would stop doing this. And it is bugging me that my virtual background, I don't want it to show advanced options. No, it's been flipped. I don't know what general video. I guess that'll do it, right? Okay, I think I've reversed the mirror effect. All right, so in light of what's going on in New York, they want to put that Zohran Mamdani guy. Well, okay. You want socialism? You want communism? Well, you know what they'll say. Well, they haven't really tried socialism the right way. They need to do it in a better way. Communism, socialism. In some ways, it's a difference without a... It's a distinction without a difference. So there's your friendly reminder, top to bottom. Here's a meme for you. Socialism is when you're being executed by your socialist overlords. But democratic socialism is when the same thing's happening, but there's a couple of smiley faces, some balloons, and a birthday hat, and it's totally rad. It's the same thing. It's the same shit. Don't let them try to convince you otherwise. Bad is bad. Here's this Zohran Mamdani. Regardless, he's a commie.
Mr. President, your beloved New York City. Your beloved New York City may well be led by a communist soon, Zohran Mamdani, who in his nomination speech said he will defy ICE and will not allow ICE to arrest criminal aliens in New York City. Your message to communist Zohran Mamdani.
Well, then we'll have to arrest him. Look, we don't need a communist in this country, but if we have one, I'm going to be watching over him very carefully on behalf of the nation. We send him money. We send him all the things that he needs to run a government. And by the way, they get about 3 times what you get, Ron. If you look at the per capita,
Ron being Ron DeSantis.
Florida gets...
They're down here doing a press conference about alligator Alcatraz.
1/3 of what New York gets in terms of the numbers. Why don't you give us those numbers?
Yeah, well,
because that's what we should send him.
Yeah, well, like sometimes people say Florida gets more because they count Social Security recipients, but that's not money to the state. Those are seniors that live here. If they moved to North Carolina, you could count it there. So it has no interaction with the state government. They get more in the city and state governments than we get.
Right, substantially. We're going to be watching that very carefully, and a lot of people are saying he's here illegally. He's, we're going to look at everything, and ideally, he's going to turn out to be much less than a communist. But right now, he's a communist. That's not a socialist. I've always said we will not have socialism in this country. In the speeches, I said, well, what They skip socialism. And you got a lot of them like that. And you see AOC, she's out there with her, bad IQ. She's out there ranting and raving about how wonderful he is. And look, so far he's winning. He's still,
I don't know, bad IQ, limited IQ, restricted IQ. I think there's a better word to use than bad.
has a race to win, but so far he's winning, and he has an advantage as a Democrat in New York City. I was there a long time ago, and it was a long time since a Republican won the city. But you would think that a Republican would be able to win. Or you have a good independent running, Mayor Adams, who's a very good person. I helped him out a little bit. He had a problem, and he was unfairly hurt over this question. He made a statement to the effect that this is terrible. New York City can't have all these immigrants come in. And like he was indicted the following day. And I said, that was a phony indictment. And it was a phony indictment. That was a Biden indictment. I said, don't feel bad. I got indicted 5 times. Every time you opened your mouth. That was a bad group. That was a very dangerous group, I will tell you. These were not nice people. That was the only thing they could do. They had no policy. They had no skill. They had no anything. But they were very good at that. They were vicious, vicious, horrible people. Thank you very much.
President, your beloved...
That was Benny Johnson asking that question as well. There are rules against bringing commies into the country, as you should, because it's just the politics of envy and greed. It's like, hey, how about we bring people into this country that don't have anything, and then you get to work on a policy of envy and greed that's going to try to attack and steal from successful people. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to anybody? So there you go. If he lied on his naturalization forms, he could be kicked out for sure. Be stripped of citizenship, get out. We already explicitly said we don't want commies here. No thanks. All right, let's continue. Speaking of commies we don't want in the country, now we're finding Chinese nationals arrested by the FBI for spying on the U.S. military. These are more people we don't want in this country. Get the hell out. Oh, you're being so mean. I can't believe you want to. Yes, that's called common sense. We don't need enemies working to sabotage us, ever.
And we have a Fox News alert. 2 Chinese nationals have just been arrested for spying on our military.
The 2 men arrested were working for the People's Republic of China to
There's not only 2 people. There's a lot.
not only collect intelligence, but to recruit U.S. service members. And
to recruit U.S. service members to turn traitor. If they're recruiting U.S. service members, they're encouraging treason. They're trying to foment treason. They should be tried of treason, and when found guilty, swung from the gallows in the public square to remind people, don't mess around with America.
investigators say a backpack of $10,000 was left in a locker in Northern California in order to gather information on U.S. national security. Both men visited a U.S. naval installation in Washington State and a Navy recruitment center in California. One of the men took photos of a bulletin board that had names, programs, and locations of Navy recruits. Now, if both men are convicted, they each face a fine of $250,000 and up to 10 years in prison.
10 years is not long enough. This is treason, and the penalty should be the ultimate price. Getting things back on track. And in comparison, hey, compare President Trump to the last 2 clowns that have been in this office. Trump will. Allegedly, if it'll play. Is it not going to play? Let's try it a second time. Okay, this is not playing for some reason.
President Obama was a terrible president. President Biden was the worst president in the history of our country. President Bush should not have gone into the Middle East and blown the place up.
It's not going to play, so I can just do the abbreviated version. President Trump says, so I don't give him very high marks either about Bush because he shouldn't have gone to the Middle East and blown the place up. But I give Trump high marks, he says.
So I don't give him high marks.
I've been trying for...
All right. Now, Rand Paul has been coming after... Okay, what is Instagram doing?
I've been trying for...
Everything's going very slow. Okay. Rand Paul, bless him, watch over him, protect him, and empower him. He's going after Anthony Fauci regarding his gain-of-function research that led to COVID. Thank you. Never let up. Let's indict Fauci. We have to indict Fauci.
Over 3 years to get non-classified records about the decision to fund the research in Wuhan, and it's been denied. But I can tell you, under Secretary Kennedy, under Jay Bhattacharya, the records are beginning to flow. And what we're discovering is, yes, they did debate over whether or not it was gain of function. Fauci said everybody said it was not gain of function. Well, we're going to get to the bottom of this. And ultimately, Dr. Fauci is going to need to come back in and explain why he made this decision. There ultimately will be an interview, either voluntarily or involuntarily. If he won't come, he will have to come back and explain to the American people why he decided to fund this research in China. This may be one of the greatest medical errors in modern history, and he bears a large part of the responsibility for this. I've been trying for over 3 years to get non-classified records about the decision to fund the research in Wuhan, and it's been denied. But I can tell you, under Secretary Kennedy, under Jay Bhattacharya.
Okay, there you go. So we put together an indict Fauci button. Something went wrong on Instagram. Yeah, something is going wrong.
I've been trying for over 3
years. I hit refresh. Okay, I don't want music. No music ever. Refresh button is not working. What's happening on... All right. Joey Manarino here says that 21 million illegals, I say 30. Okay. Instagram is just totally glitching right now. Are you watching this? The whole... Okay. Well, this is what I was gonna... What the hell's happening? Is my internet okay? My internet's okay. I'm still streaming, right? Okay, so is Instagram down? Because that's how I had half my show plotted out. Service unavailable. What does that even mean? All right. Well, this is the site that I'm relying on, and it's not working. Let me disconnect it and refresh it. And it's just thinking about it. Yeah, you're saying BRB. I'll check. I mean, it looks like it's working, but Instagram is not. I can't control Instagram. So I guess I got to move over to what a pain in the ass. What a frustration. Service unavailable. Is Instagram down? Let me try clicking on Instagram. No, it's working. But it's not working on my computer. What in the hell is going on with my computer today? This is a strange show right now. You're getting nothing on Instagram. See, I'm watching it on Instagram. Yeah, it is working. But then why isn't it working up here? All right. Yeah, Instagram is working, but it's not working. Oh, there it goes. Fireworks facility catching fire and exploding in YOLO County? Like you only live once? YOLO County? Yeah, Instagram won't let me click anything. Okay. Well, okay, now it's slowly coming back. Just trying to get to my stories. It's thinking. You see it thinking? Okay, there's something. There we go. This is where it glitched. Let's try to get back to it, shall we? Joey Manorino says 21 million illegals entered America under Joe Biden. The only possible word for that is treason. Okay, so do you agree or do you disagree that the only word for what Biden and Harris allowed is treason? I'm going to agree. It's absolutely treason. All right, Deb was saying her Instagram is down. It looks like it popped back for me, so I'll give it a shot as long as I have it. Let me move fast since it's being glitchy. Bobby Kennedy Jr. here doing the Lord's work.
Appreciate another interest of mine. I think we've had some legislative success.
This is Dan Crenshaw. Bobby Kennedy made a bunch of news yesterday talking about how they found an 1,100% increase in autism because of things. Was it mercury? Was it mercury or aluminum or some combination of heavy metals? And then that study was banished, and then they changed it and they rigged the results to try to remove all the people that were showing the positive. Well, and by positive, I mean negative repercussions after taking the air quote medicine. Bobby made a bunch of moves yesterday, a bunch of news making moves yesterday. But he's continuing on talking about the potential treatment options for people with PTSD, depression, addiction. Well, it's time. It's time for psychedelics.
As well, in these past couple of years, is on the use of psychedelics for.
And by the way, it looks like my comments are now working on Rumble. Hello to Patriot Warrior Texas. Definitely agreeing that it's treason and saying hello to Mr. Crenshaw, or as he's known in MAGA Nation, Eye Patch McCain.
For assisted therapy for conditions like PTSD, depression, addiction. What steps do you plan on taking to accelerate that domestic research, clinical trial access, and the safe deployment of these kind of therapies for trauma-related disorders?
We are launching clinical trials now on that at FDA. I think there are 11 clinical trials at the VA going on at this point, particularly for our service members, retired service members. It's critically important that we make sure that
it is so time. There have been so many studies to show so much potential help from these treatments, and knowing the disgusting amount of side effects from what people are being given with SSRIs, and just go down the list of stuff people are being told to take. It is so time to get into psychedelics.
The science on this is solid, and the preliminary results are very, very encouraging, and it's something that we want to pursue. Marty McCary has told me that we don't want to wait 2 years to get this done. Yeah. These are people who badly.
Yes, please don't wait 2 years. It's like, oh, good news. Smucker's is phasing out their artificial dyes in 2027. You're like, oh, come on. Why do we have to wait 2 years for this? No, by the end of 27, 2.5 years. You're like, oh, come on. Just do it now. Hopefully you're not just going to announce some things to move the goalposts and stretch the Overton window long enough where, people forget, right? But yeah, let's not wait 2 years to get some testing done. There's people that need help now. Let's go.
We need some kind of therapy. Nothing else is working for them. This line of therapeutics has tremendous advantage if given in a clinical setting, and we are working very hard to make sure that happens within 12 months.
That's great to hear. Just to put on your notes as well, the FDA did issue draft guidance on the clinical guidelines for these therapies 2 years ago. Finalizing that, I think, would be helpful for the industry. So they have been forward-leaning, but I think finalizing that would be helpful for the industry. I appreciate another interest of mine, and I think we've had some legislative success as well in these past couple of years, is on the use of psychedelics for assisted therapy for conditions like PTSD, depression, addiction.
Right.
What steps do you plan on taking to accelerate that domestic research?
Okay, we're back to the beginning. Yeah, look, we can have our issues with Eye Patch McCain. I have them, you have them, for sure. But he's right on this issue. It's important that we support the people, even if we disagree with them on a lot of things. We support them when they are right, like Smuckers. Okay, like I'm not happy they're taking 2.5 years or whatever to phase out their artificial whatever it is. And it needs to be, we need to just say no more high fructose corn crap, no more refined sugars, no more ultra processed foods, no more artificial petroleum based food dyes, no more what's some of the other stuff, seed oils, whatever. We need to just phase out the stuff that we know is bad. There needs to be something fast that's done where we reformulate what we're making and ditch some of the garbage. This is all good news, but it is taking an excruciatingly long amount of time to get there. Thank you, Mother Smuckers. Hello, Kenneth. You're taking try opening, but couldn't open the cap? Yeah, you try opening. Well, I think you better speak to Councilman Les Winan and see if I think he ought to be doing more thinking and less whining. All right, carrying on. Oh, there's music here. Okay. All right, let me take you down a rabbit hole from this guy, Joe Lang. I don't know. Just what do you think about this? Says this is exactly the point. Trump's big, beautiful bill does nothing to solve the debt crisis. It actually makes the debt crisis worse. So why don't people ask the right questions? Here's the right question. Why is Trump purposely making the debt crisis much worse? There's a really good reason, and people like Senator Johnson and anybody else in the media do not understand Trump's plan. Why doesn't Trump seem to care that the debt's going to explode higher? Does anybody remember this important portion of I don't think you can even say this letter, right, on social media, 17th letter, drop number 138. See, I don't really get lost in the sauce on these drops in the 17th letter of the alphabet stuff, but it's an interesting perspective here to consider. Fact: the U.S. Federal Reserve is a privately owned company sitting on its very own patch of land immune to the U.S. laws. Important facts: the Federal Reserve is not a part of the government. It's a privately owned bank and is now the central bank of the entire world financial system because the fiat Federal Reserve note is the world's reserve currency. It's not the American people's currency. It's the Federal Reserve's currency, and it's created and lent to the government with the promise to pay, including interest on the debt owed. This is why the IRS was created. Passed by Congress in 1909, ratified 1913, the 16th Amendment established Congress's right to impose a federal income tax. Far-reaching in its social as well as its economic impact, the Income Tax Amendment became part of the Constitution by a curious series of events, culminating in a bit of political maneuvering that went awry. In 1909, progressives in Congress again attached a provision for an income tax to a tariff bill. Conservatives, hoping to kill the idea for good, proposed a constitutional amendment enacting such a tax. They believed an amendment would never receive ratification by 3/4 of the states. Much to their surprise, the amendment was ratified by one state legislature after another. And on February 25th, 1913, with the certification by Secretary of State Knox, is that where Fort Knox is named? And his name is Philander. Philander. I am sorry. What? Do you know what philander means? Engaging in casual or flirtatious relationships with women, often implying a lack of serious intent or commitment. Typically used to describe a man who pursues multiple romantic or sexual encounters without emotional attachment. So he's screwing them and he's screwing you. Who was Fort Knox named after? Okay, that's Major General Henry Knox, the first U.S. Secretary of War under President Washington. Okay. Philander. So progressives attached a provision for income tax as a tariff bill. Conservatives proposed a constitutional amendment enacting the tax, believing it would never ratify. Secretary of State Philander C. Knox, the 16th Amendment took effect, yet in 1913, due to generous exemptions and deductions, less than 1% of the population paid income taxes at the rate of only 1% net income. This is exactly what I'm saying about interest. You want to take out a loan and get 1% interest for some overhead, maybe a little bit of profit, fine. You go past your 1% for administrative costs, it's called usury. And it's a fancy way for saying slave master. The borrower is slave to the lender. Usury is one of the worst crimes on earth, but we've been allowing it to happen. It's a heady topic. Let me continue here. So only 1% paid income tax at the rate of 1%. The document settled the constitutional question of how to tax income, and so doing affected dramatic changes in the American way of life. The Federal Reserve is privately owned and is controlling the entire world's financial system. It's immune to U.S. laws. Did you know that? Immune? What? Do you understand how huge that is? Immediately, people will be angered knowing that the Fed completely controls our money and can't be held accountable because they're immune from prosecution. But you're looking at it completely wrong. Why would the Federal Reserve being immune from American laws be a good thing? And why would the Federal Reserve being immune from American laws be a huge advantage for Trump to remove the Fed? All right, I'm listening. Answer. The U.S. Constitution is the law of the land. The Constitution exists to protect the rights of the people. And guess what? The Federal Reserve doesn't have constitutional protections. Guess what else? The Federal Reserve also doesn't have protections under U.S. bankruptcy laws. Oh, Do you know how much debt the Federal Reserve is holding? It's a lot. Trump's plan is to bankrupt the Fed. Allegedly. Trump's plan is to allegedly bankrupt the Fed and leave them holding the worthless fiat money bag that will then be replaced with sound money backed by gold. I think I just had a Fedgasm. Oh, let them choke on their worthless dollars. Oh, they think they're so damn powerful. Oh, my God. I'm swooning. I'm having a Fedgasm. Let them eat cake. Let them choke on their worthless dollars. Federal Reserve notes. This post continues. This is a real war against a cabal of elites who own the private central bank systems. Trump can't come out and tell everyone what he's doing because deception is required in war. You have to discern the reason why Trump not only doesn't seem to care about the debt, but he's also trying to massively increase it. Senator Ron Johnson here on Citizen Free Press says the mega bill adds $22 trillion to the U.S. national debt over the next 10 years. National debt will hit $59 trillion in 2035. We support Trump, but this bill does nothing to solve the debt crisis. It's a danger. We're going to type, that's a dangerous game of what if and maybe 60 trillion. So what do you think? President Trump's plan is to bankrupt the Federal Reserve. Do you agree or do you disagree? Patriot Warrior Texas saying rhinos, Republicans in name only, are why we're having all the problems we're having today. Well, okay. It's one of the major reasons. The progressive Democrats, the deep state Democrats, are the number one reason. But yes, I would probably put air quote conservative rhinos in sheep's clothing, wolves in sheep's clothing, as part of the deep state Democrats. They're deep state Democrats who are just conning Republicans. That's what I think. But yes, I do take your point. Rhinos are terrible. All right. California is missing $2 billion. I went to City Hall protesting for some solutions on our homeless epidemic when I lived in Los Angeles. And now they're saying $2 billion is missing from Corruptifornia. Listen, volume.
LA or any other major urban area can see the homeless problem has only gotten worse. It hasn't gotten better.
It has gotten worse. This is U.S. Attorney Essayli.
So when I was in the legislature, we would ask, where did this money go? How is it used? And what is there to show for it? And we almost never got an answer. Nobody seems to know anything. So one of the first things I did is I launched a task force that's going to look at the homeless spending. We're going to account for where that money went. There was an audit done at the order of a district court judge here, Judge Carter. And that audit found that at least $2 billion of the LA money was missing. And, someone asked me, how does $2 billion go missing? Well, it doesn't. And we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to trace the money. We're going to find out where every dollar went. And if any laws were broken, we will bring charges. Now, that does take time to build those investigations, but they are happening. They are moving. And I've instructed my agents and the prosecutors that this should be done in a matter of months, not years.
Go after these corruptocrats in California. There's a lot of people that want to do some good things. A lot of people want to fix some problems. And when, USAID, there's going to be quadrillions of people who starve unless USAID, you got to protect USAID. It's like 5% is actually going to help people. 95% is bribing and money laundering. Enough. Shut it all down. All right. Patriot Warrior Texas, welcome to the TNAM party. If you're watching, I don't know how, okay, so you're watching on Rumble. Thank you for watching on Rumble. I'm not sure if you can read all the comments, but we're getting a lot of live comments. We have our regulars here. So I'm getting your comments on this screen. I got Kenneth and Deb over on this screen. Anybody watching on the side, please hit like, hit subscribe. however you're watching the show, and tell us your name and where you're watching from, or your initials and where you're watching from. Here's a friendly reminder at the bottom of the screen. The New American Media exists on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odysee, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube under the New American Media. Also, Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat, on X at American_media_. And the Agree to Disagree Show is the name of our podcast on Spotify and Apple. That will encapsulate the TNAM Daily Show as well. Yes, Patriot Warrior Texas says, new here, you gained a follow. Well, thank you much. Am I saying thank you, sir? Am I saying thank you, ma'am? What is your name, Patriot Warrior Texas? And welcome to the team. We unpack the news each day. So let's go after all of the corruption, the fraud, the money laundering of the dirty deep state Democrats. All right. Here's Sean Hannity talking about the Marxist Mamdani in New York. New York said never forget. I feel like they're forgetting all their common sense principles on this one.
A video surfacing showing Mamdani and his plan to slowly eliminate home ownership in New York City.
Creepy. You'll own nothing and like it.
And according to him, as mayor, he will direct the government to buy up or seize private apartments and homes, convert them into communes or social housing projects.
Yeah, no.
His own words. Take a look.
No.
If we want to end the housing crisis, the solution has to be moving toward the full decommodification of housing. In other words, moving away
decommodification
from the status quo, in which most people access housing by purchasing it on the market, but to go further.
You purchase housing on the market. Right, you purchase everything on the market. What is this guy talking about?
Toward the Vienna model, we'll have to go beyond the market.
Beyond the market. Vienna, we're talking what? Germany? Like, what are we talking?
We can establish community land trusts to gradually buy up housing on the private market and convert it to community ownership.
Okay. This is literally kind of like what was happening in my neighborhood in Los Angeles. This was not good. This was all sorts of bad. The City of LA Housing Authority purchased up 110 of our 216 units in our homeowners association. So they had 51% controlling interest. And they stole our homeowners association and turned it into a permanent home rental association. Oh, this is not good. When you don't have an investment, when you don't have skin in the game, when you don't care about your neighborhood, and maybe you're on a federal subsidy, you're chipping in $100 on a $2,500 rent, you don't care. You're not going to pick up trash. In fact, you're going to throw trash. You're not going to paint over graffiti. You're going to add graffiti. You don't care about living in a nice neighborhood. You're a renter. You're a permanent renter. And there's a different skin in the game aspect to when you own one property and it matters to you. You know that that's one of the biggest investments you're ever going to make, and you're going to care about it. You're going to spend a lot of time fixing it up. Not the renters. The renters don't care. Look at a college town. If you think Brian, you're going too hard on the inner cities. What are you, one of them racists or something? No, goofball. Go to any college town, USA. Go to a middle of the country, flyover state, cornfield college like the one I went to. And take a look at those places. Look at the rental market in a college town. I mean, a lot of these houses are trashed because nobody cares. They don't have any vested interest in it. There's no ownership at stake. Ownership makes things better. Permanent rental, man, you got housing projects and all the problems that come with them.
We can give tenants a right of first refusal to buy out their landlords when buildings go up for sale.
Give tenants the right of first refusal to buy units when they go up for sale. How do you determine the cost if it's not on the open market?
And we can fully commit to a new era of social housing, ending subsidies for luxury housing development, and using our wealth to build beautiful, high-quality social housing projects.
He wants to build projects
that offer good homes and strong communities to everyone.
To everyone.
You know, I studied economics in college. Oh, can you believe I believe in capitalism? Supply, demand, they crisscross, they dictate the price, and nobody forces people to get a product or a service. They choose to. That's called freedom. This is nuts, anti-American, call it what it is, Marxism, to each according to the need, from each according to their ability. That's statism, but it's incredibly stupid on top of everything else. If the government becomes a big player in the real estate market, like they're going to run the grocery stores, New York City's already sky-high real estate and rental prices, they will shoot through the roof, even in Mamdani's socialist fantasy. Supply and demand does not go away. He vowed to open up government.
Now, by the way, let me just say, I am open to having a conversation about large corporations like BlackRock and, there's a couple of other large ones. I always end up starting with BlackRock. Paying 5, 10, 15, 20% above market so that they can seize up, they can purchase the available inventory city by city, and you run homeowners out of the opportunity to have a place to live. That's some bullshit. But what's the difference if BlackRock does it or if the city of New York does it? It's one large interest messing with the scales of supply and demand. Yeah, I came from I lived in the housing projects in Los Angeles. South Central LA is what my cable company called it. Wasn't quite that bad, but it was kind of exactly that bad. He wants to focus on housing projects. Well, let me show you the housing well, I wish I could show you it when I moved in as opposed to all the stuff I fixed by the time I was done. But still.
Run grocery stores to counter greedy private grocers that make up to, 3% profit? It's about volume. It's not about big profit or price gouging. But the city funds that he allocated for these stores, it doesn't even exist. Apparently, he misread a government website about that.
I think he's bad news, and I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with him, watching him, because he has to come right to this building to get his money. And don't worry, he's not going to run away with anything. I think he's, frankly, I've heard he's a total nut job. I think the people of New York are crazy. If they go this route, I think they're crazy. We will have a communist for the first time, really, a pure, true communist.
Zoran Mandami, who in his nomination.
Kenneth. Over here on Rumble, we're saying Patriot Warrior Texas goes by two names, Mr. MAGA or AKA John Boy. I'm guessing it's John, Mr. MAGA, John Boy. What's up, John Boy? Over here in the other comments, like I said, I don't know if you can see them because they're commenting through somewhere else. You can comment through like X, YouTube, Rumble. I'm not sure. I think you can do it through DLive, Twitch, Kick as well. Yes, you can. Kenneth always drops jokes in here. I was talking about BlackRock. He says, "Oh, BlackRock, aka Lenny Kravitz." You know what? I had Izzy out, my friend from Los Angeles, for a couple of weeks, and I showed him Cult of Personality by Living Color. This young man's a black dude, and I'm like, dude, if you don't know Living Color, like this was like late 80s. There weren't a lot of hard rock black bands out there. I mean, I guess there still aren't. You got Seven Dust and, you have some, but it's when Living Color put Cult of Personality out. I mean, in so many ways, it was almost unlike anything you'd ever heard or seen. And then on top of it, dude's rocking like a yellow spandex bodysuit in the video. I mean, it's just incredible. But yeah, BlackRock, Living Color, or Lenny Kravitz. Well played. Yes, Izzy did go home. He may or may not be entering the special services, joining the military. I think he's going to find out as early as Monday. He's got a battery of tests that he must complete. I'm not trying to steer him toward it. I'm not trying to steer him away from it. I'm just showing him some college options. We're showing some Work options, just making sure he's thinking it through. Let him make his choice, you know. Our military needs good people just as much as the private sector does. So, yeah, housing projects, housing slums, same difference. Same difference indeed.
Speech said he will defy ICE and will not allow ICE to arrest criminals.
And by the way, the point of the Benny Johnson thing was not just, are you going to arrest a communist? It's just, well, I mean, if he's going to deny ICE, then he gets arrested.
Aliens in New York City. Your message to communist Zorhan Mandami.
Well, then we'll have to arrest him. Look, we don't need a communist in this country, but if we have one, I'm going to be watching over him very carefully on behalf of the nation.
When he got indoctrinated into Marxism, probably never read the Constitution and the Supremacy Clause. That gives the jurisdiction to the federal government, not the city of New York.
This guy makes de Blasio look like Ronald Reagan. And
this morning, a video surfacing showing Mondale.
Terrifying. Making de Blasio look like Ronald Reagan. All right, let's get an update on our U.S. southern border where there's 0 illegal aliens admitted in the United States. That's the number we need. This is the way. This is common sense. Anyone who's been against this is a traitor. Tom Homan says migrant arrests at the borders has dropped 41% in June to a new record low. 0 admitted to the U.S. Breitbart says when you protect the border properly, you arrest fewer people. According to numbers posted on social media by Tom Homan, borders are, the arrest of migrants who illegally cross borders in the U.S. went from just under 6,000 in June. I'm sorry, it fell to just over 6,000. Lowest month in modern border patrol records, and a 41% decrease from May. Hold on, so why is it 0 if it's 6,000? Total border patrol encounters for the month of June was $6,000. That's less than a single day under Biden. Holy shit. It's a lot of people to deport. And also, none of the 6,000 were released into the U.S. 0. This is the way. My God. This is the way. Yeah, you don't let someone wait to figure things out. You don't let them on the inside while we sort out the details. They stay on the outside. It's all right. We're going to run your credentials. You don't get admission. We're going to look into this and see. 10,000 were arrested the prior month. Down 93% from the 87,000 detained in June of last year. President Trump has created the most secure border in the history of the nation, and the data proves it. Homan says we've never seen numbers this low. The previous record was also established by Trump when they arrested 8,100 migrants illegally entering the U.S. between the ports of entry. Bravo. Bravo button. Heck yeah. This is exactly what we voted for. Joe Rogan talking Robert Malone here.
By the way, everything he said has turned out to be true. Every single thing he said had turned out to be true. Sure. Everything that everybody said about whether it was a lab leak, whether the vaccine had side effects, whether it was pushed, whether they lied about the studies and distorted the information, everything was true. All of it. Including Yale just released some study about people producing spike protein 700 plus days after the injections, which was never thought to be the case when they gave them to these people in the first place. A host of different serious problems that people are having because of these, that everyone's covering up and people are lying about and everyone's trying to obfuscate and doctors are trying to sweep things under the rug because they don't want to be in trouble for mandating these things and telling people to get these things. It's horrible.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. And yeah, if we go back to the allowing, I just feel like to mandate was
crazy.
Wrong. They're just, that to me is fascistic behavior.
Yes.
If you mandate that I have to take this thing, that if you take it, you're protected. Well, if I take it, wasn't that mine? You know? That
Doesn't
should
even
be
make
my
sense.
prerogative. I either want to be protected or don't want to be protected. Or maybe I am like I am, which is the last two entities on earth I would trust with my health would be big pharma and big government. Like those would be the last two I would look
Yeah.
to. You know, how much big pharma's done to just push shit through that they know is bad for you, that they know harms you.
And if they're pushing things that they know is bad for us and that it harms us, these people need to be brought to justice immediately.
By the way, everything he said.
So check out that full interview. Here's Scott Bessent.
The market had the fastest recovery from a 15% decline in history.
And we're going to keep our eyes peeled on Bobby Kennedy and what they are revealing about these vaccine manufacturers. That 1,100% increase in autism report, if it's accurate as it's been presented by Bobby Kennedy, and that's an if, because, you know, there's a lot to parse through. My God, this is like Nuremberg trial level of accountability necessary.
After the bottom, shortly after Liberation Day, there was a complete panic by, as you said, the financial establishment. Anyone who sold then got left out. We had this tremendous rally. S&P, Dow NASDAQ are doing well on the year. And the bond market, which everyone says it should panicked over inflation or the tariffs, the 10-year bond had the best return that it's had in 5 years. So bond market's doing well, stock market's doing well. Yeah, I will take the market-based indicators over the so-called experts all the time. That's how I made my 35-year career, was listening to the market.
Yep, you can either listen to the market or you could be like Zoran Mamdani trying to change the market. That's not a good idea. All right, one of our biggest news stories today. Link Lauren says Pride Month ended and Leah Thomas was immediately stripped of his titles. Look at that. Riley Gaines says, thank you for your attention to this matter. His name is William and he's a man, says X the Professor 2017. Now time to give the title to a woman who deserved it in the first place. Stripped of his titles is a win. Riley Gaines, you changed the world. They're not his titles anymore. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Deb saying depopulation is their goal. I mean, they've been out there running that scam for a long time. Oh, the world's too populated. Oh, we got to decrease the population. Oh, Georgia Guidestones. It's like, shut up. We need more people having more families, fewer abortions, more children, more responsibility. We need to raise our future generation, not let some purple-haired weirdo indoctrinate our kids for 7, 8, 9 hours a day and then deliver us back some warped version of what we created. We need to get back to that. I love what Riley did here because I've mentioned this on previous shows and I haven't heard anybody else mentioning it, how often President Trump signs off on a post saying, thank you for your attention to this matter. That's how she signed off on this one about this Thomas person being stripped of fake titles after pretending to be a girl and swimming against them at University of Pennsylvania. Bravo. Bravo, bravo, bravo. It's about damn time. This one here, We Are Breitbart says, prior to the 24 election, a nonprofit group called VOTER, Vote or ER, got 50,000 medical professionals to target patients in hospitals to register them to vote. It's among the bombshell findings in a new book by former House Oversight Committee Chairman Jason Chaffetz. So presumably a lot of them are under sedation or some sort of medication. Chaffetz told co-hosts Peter Schweitzer and Eric Eggers, you're on my phone, sir. Hi. It's Nimbus time. He knows we're doing a show. He wants to be a part of it. Can you see Nimbus? Oh, hold on. Let me full screen it. Let me full screen me so you can see the cat. Where's he at? There he is. He's in the peripheral. You all like cat time, don't you? I like doing a second hear him purr. He's not really purring that loudly right now. But he is grooming. That'll count for something. Nope. Lifting my hat. Why? You literally took my hat off. Thanks, sir. Can I try it again? Nim busted. Okay, so they're saying that Chaffetz told co-hosts Peter Schweitzer and Eric Eggers on the latest episode of the Drill Down podcast what they found is the Tides Foundation, the Open Societies Foundation, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation saw this as a great opportunity to register people in the ER under sedation. End up getting 50,000 physicians in 700 hospitals. And while they were in the bed, and some of them were psychiatric patients at psychiatric hospitals, they literally registered them to vote. That's one finding from Chaffetz's new book, They're Coming For You, How the Deep State Spies, NGOs, and Woke Corporations Plan to Push You Out of the Economy. It debuts this week. Vote ER partners with hospitals and other healthcare providers to register voters right in the hospital. That group claims to be bipartisan. But an investigation by the Washington Examiner found the group was funded largely by dark money contributions from left-wing oriented foundations like Tides, funding from Soros, Bill, Melinda Gates, Forget HIPAA laws. You might not even know this was happening to you in the hospital. Yeah. Wow. We'll type expose all the deep state Democrat corruption everywhere we can find it. There we go. Yeah, psychiatric patients voting Democrat. Well, I mean, that sort of explains the people that vote Democrat. Mental freaks indeed. Patriot Warrior. John Boy, Mr. Mega. Patriot Warrior saying, thank you for your attention to this matter is the same as FAFO. Oh, it's pretty close. All right, I'm sharing this because we just emerged from, last month. Let's call it what it is. It's National Nimbus. It's National Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Nim, you're going to get smacked in the head again if you keep doing that. Don't do it. That's not me smacking him. He's literally rubbing his head onto my ring light. And when he bounces it back and forth, it'll cut loose the cell phone that's streaming Rumble, and it spins on its hinge, and it smacked him in the head. It's going to do it again if he doesn't. Hey, Bella's chance. Hello, Bella. Bella over there in the Cape. Patriot Warrior. Can I assume you're in Texas? Because it's Patriot Warrior, Texas. We got Deb from Sacramento, California. Kenneth and... Oh, Nimbus, it did it again. It hit you in the head. I didn't... Okay. You can't... That's the problem with doing that. It spins and hits you in the head. Hit him twice now. Bella in the Cape over by Massachusetts, by Boston. Kenneth in Florida. All right, I just want to share this one with you because, as we know, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and Bill Burr kind of sums it up here. Bill Burr's gone pretty woke and pretty annoying in several different things I've seen him in, but I think he gets this particular point right. It's worth sharing. To those who are celebrating a happy belated Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Men aren't allowed to be sad. We're allowed to be one of two things. We're allowed to be mad or fine. That's it, right? Those are normal behaviors of a man. You can be mad like, Jesus Christ, who put this here? How many times do I gotta say, Jesus goddamn area, please, Jesus Christ, somebody's gonna fall, break their neck. I'm so tired. I said it once, I said it 100 times, right?
But to be fair, if someone keeps doing that and it's a health and safety issue, Well, then you got a right to be upset. That's a perfect. That is a fine time to be upset, I think.
And then what does your wife just rolls her eyes? Just send him out in the yard, let him walk it off. Throw him a beer out there, he'll be fine, right?
Throw him a beer.
Yeah, he'll be good, right? You're allowed to be that or fine. How you doing, Bill? I'm fine. You sure? Yeah, I'm sure. I said it was fine. Why the would I say it's fine? Then you're just right back over there. And your whole life is that. And what's weird about a guy is we feel all the other emotions, right? Melancholy, being sentimental, enjoying a sunset, all of that type of shit. But all this in here is just called gay, right? Men aren't allowed to be sad. We're allowed to be one of two things. We're allowed to be mad or fine.
Mad or fine? Nimbus? Which one are you? Oh. Deb says, I don't think Brian will ever say Deb from San Francisco. I might say it again. Now it's like it's in the consciousness out there. Yeah, I called her Deb from San Francisco, but it's Deb from Sacramento. Yeah, Kenneth, by the way, I'm fine. You know, it's funny because women, how often is it? I'm fine. No, you're not. What's no, I'm fine. And you can see them stewing. You can see the smoke coming out of their ears. You're like, I know you're not fine. Just what's, no, I'm fine. It's like, we know you're not fine. Don't lie to us. Fine is the default setting for girls when they don't want to tell you that they're really upset. So that's an interesting dynamic to that. But anyway, just in case you are celebrating a late Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, happy belated Men's Mental Health Awareness Month to those of you who celebrate. All right, so here, check this out. Eric Daughtry reporting. Am I in the right screen dynamic? Hold on. Nope, that ain't gonna work. Nope, try it that way. There we are. And nope. Yes, we'll go with that. Eric Daughtry reports, update. Conservatives are now flooding the new ICE Block app that was designed to track the movement of ICE agents. This was done to help criminals avoid ICE agents. Did you know this? People are now flooding the app with false flag sightings, vying to render the app effectively useless. Talk about a backfire. In the comment section, it shows Dave Chappelle saying, modern problems require modern solutions. Yeah, why'd they shut down Silk Road, but they won't shut this down? This might be the way to get rid of it, though. Render it useless. We shall see. Speaking of useless, whoa, where'd it go? A Sick of ICE, Sick of Trump event in San Antonio draws less than 80 people. Congrats. You're dorks and people don't like you. All right, it's not just Chinese nationals trying to get servicemen to become traitors. We're also catching Iranian nationals.
You imagine
30 million illegal alien invaders let in by Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Barack Hussein Obama. Shame on all of them. And by shame, I mean convict them of treason.
Imagine waking up to find police arresting your neighbors for allegedly running a human smuggling ring out of their house.
Yes. Yes, I could. I recently had one of those in the neighborhood. Oh, yeah. It sold. 13 cars parked in and around the driveway, up on the grass. Rarely seeing the same face twice. Several members appeared to be 3'0" Guatemalan, Honduran, Ecuadorian, Peruvian. I don't know exactly, but yeah, there was a flop house in my neighborhood. And it recently sold, and we rejoiced. As long as they're not renovating it to add more illegals to it. But they did sell it. It was held by a Chinese family, and it was running Central Americans into our country, allegedly. Oh, yeah, I can imagine it, news guy, because I sort of lived it. Here we go.
Some of the people arrested were on the FBI's most wanted list, or a terror watch list.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. That's not a hypothetical. It just happened in one Los Angeles neighborhood.
Oh, yeah, these weren't just mere immigration violations we were dealing with. Federal agents say that they arrested 2 suspected Iranian individuals who were running a human smuggling ring out of their home and who had terror ties. Here's what we know. Late last week, Customs and Border Protection say that they executed a federal search warrant at a suspected human smuggling hideout operating in a residential neighborhood in LA's San Fernando Valley. But this wasn't just a crash pad for illegals. It was a national security threat hiding in plain sight. Homeland Security officials tell Newsmax that this particular house had been repeatedly used to shelter individuals with terror links, including people the FBI already had tagged as dangerous.
Do you have places like this in your neighborhood? Are you paying attention?
And as you'd expect, residents were rattled by what might have been going down on their block. Authorities say this was the second takedown at the residence in a week. 7 Iranian nationals were previously arrested, some of whom with alleged ties to a human trafficking syndicate. These arrests are part of a broader pattern. In recent days, Iranian illegals have been nabbed across the U.S., including, as we've reported, a sniper carrying military ID from the Islamic Republic and another Iranian national with a rap sheet stacked with drug crimes, assault, and child abuse. In total, Homeland Security says nearly 1,600 known or suspected terrorists have been apprehended since the start of the Trump administration, many of whom were just roaming free in American communities. So Mark Allison, also the Justice Department, is suing LA Mayor Karen Bass and the city council for undermining immigration law with their sanctuary policies. It's not exactly great timing for progressives, as they won't even lift a finger to help dismantle an alleged Iranian terror ring operating in one of their communities.
Can you imagine?
Nuts. Absolutely bonkers that we're living in this. But once again, it feels like sanity is getting a front seat again, coming back. Make sanity great again. What did Tom McDonald say? Because common sense ain't that common. Deb asking if I watched Sticks and Stones yet from Chappelle. No, I have not rewatched it yet. It's on my list. I will get to it. Uh-huh. Yeah, I can do a little bit of an Elvis. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. A little bit of an Elvis. Mm-hmm. A little bit of an Elvis. A little bit. All right, President Trump here put this release out. He says nobody wants to talk about growth, which will be the primary reason that the big, beautiful bill will be one of the most successful pieces of legislation ever passed. This growth has already begun at levels never seen before. Trillions of dollars are now being invested into the USA more than ever before. Likewise, hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs are filling up the coffers of Treasury. The tariff money has already arrived and is setting new records. We are growing our way out of the sleepy Joe Biden mess that he and the Democrats left us. And it's happening much faster than anyone thought possible. Our country will make a fortune this year, more than any of our competitors. Well, yeah, but it's not a fortune when you're overspending. It doesn't matter how much you make if you're overspending. I don't want to trust a plan. Oh, no. It's totally cool to double our national debt. No, there's a plan. Just sit back and relax. It'll totally work out. Like, no, I can't do that. Not doing that. I thought for 4 years, surely we're going to kick Biden out and figure out what happened in that 2020 election. Surely we'll get to the bottom of it and not let him run amok. Well, guess what? He ran amok for a full term somehow. No, I'm not trusting that there's a plan. I'm going to work toward a plan. But we all have to talk about it. It can't be some secret plan that only a couple people know. Well, that doesn't work for me. I hate that trust a plan thing. Anyway, we're growing out of the mess of Biden and that the Democrats left us. Our country will make a fortune, but we're spending more than a fortune. So, whoa, geez, Nimbus, you almost fell. Oh my goodness. My guy is old and he is getting a little less sure-footed. Oh. He wobbles, he stumbles. He gets some injections so that he can loosen up the old joints, but man. Hey. Yeah, hi. He almost fell. I've taken to just assuming he might fall and trying to catch him every time I see him. Although he's got good hops. I fed him his dinner yesterday and left the can of Fancy Feast up on the countertop. And whoop, easy. And I went to do something else and I waited too long. And then I heard clank, 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 clank. And then you heard a can moving around. He had jumped up and he knocked the knife off the top of the can. He jumped up onto the countertop and was going for more. He was hungry, so he's got ups. But man, your wobbliness, man, it's a it's a concern, sir. Anyway, saying our country will make a fortune this year, more than any of our competitors, but only if the big, beautiful bill is passed. As they say, Trump's been right about everything, and this is the easiest of them all to predict. Republicans, don't let the radical left Democrats push you around. We've got all the cards, and we're going to use them. Last year, America was dead. We were a dead nation with no hope for the future. Now it's the hottest nation in the world. Make America great again, he says. Savannah Craven here, jumping on to Newsmax, talking about Zoran as the essence of the American nightmare.
Anyone has betrayed New York and his constituents, it's Chuck Schumer. And he will betray New Yorkers more if he supports Democratic mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani. What say you, Savannah?
Absolutely. Well, New Yorkers, as a New Yorker myself, I am not impressed with Mamdani at all. I think that Kevin O'Leary said it best. He is the essence of the American nightmare. He's openly talked about being unapologetically socialist, wanting to defund the police, putting higher taxes on white neighborhoods just because they're white. And he's used different accents in interviews depending on who he's talking to. It's given Kamala Harris, and that is a nightmare that Americans and New Yorkers do not want to relive.
Right. And to your point, if we do not learn from history, we are bound to repeat it. And if he wins, Mamdani is really going to be doing just that.
If anyone has betrayed New York and his constituents, it's Chuck Schumer.
But yeah, New York needs to get them to unite under one opposition opponent, one opposition candidate, and vote them in. Here we go. Riley Gaines reacting. Oh, this is such a great day.
Have brought upon themselves has not been and cannot be undone, but the first step in recapturing the rights of women is for wrongdoers to admit that they're wrong, and that's what the University of Pennsylvania is doing today by acknowledging on behalf of its faculty, on behalf of its administrators, on behalf of its students, and on behalf of its alumni, that what the University of Pennsylvania did was not just shameful, not just wrong, it was illegal. It violated well-established federal law. Of course, that federal law being Title IX, which is very, very clear, by the way. Prevents any sort of sex-based discrimination within any educational program that receives federal funds. This admission by the University of Pennsylvania begins the process of protecting future generations against these heinous wrongs. Institutions have brought upon themselves has not been and cannot be undone, but the first step in recapturing the rights of women is for wrongdoers to admit that they're wrong, and that's what the University of Pennsylvania is doing today.
Bravo, University of Pennsylvania. It's about damned time. Button. More
a suspected drunk driver is charged
in the country, causing problems. You know, when you filter for this type of stuff, when you check backgrounds, when you make sure people understand the language so that they can read the road signs and they're aware of the rules of the nation, you have less of this. But when you let anybody in to have an absolute free-for-all, this is what you get.
With killing 2 people after a crash yesterday in Beaver Falls. Another woman was also hurt in that crash but survived. She is Carrie Cook. We learned that she was walking home from work at a restaurant when she was hit. Channel 11's Lauren Talata joins us live in Beaver County with the latest information about this tragic crash. Lauren?
Yeah, this tragedy has just rocked the Beaver Falls community. We were told crowds of people stood at this intersection, many of them crying after witnessing this collision that left 2 people dead, a woman hurt, and a man behind bars.
We could hear it from here.
It was closing time Sunday for Marina Brown and her staff at Athens Family Restaurant on 7th Avenue in Beaver Falls. Just moments after one of her servers, Carrie Cook, left for the day and started walking home from work.
He said that she was under the car. It's a miracle she's alive.
Cook was one of the victims at this crime scene, pinned under a car that police say was hit by a pickup truck driven by Israel Toon Cooch. Beaver Falls police say he was drunk and speeding when he ran a red light and crashed his pickup truck into the car, killing the 2 people inside. Court documents identify the victims as Robert Lance Jr. and Shaylee Davis Young. Friends of Davis Young shared this picture with us and have started a GoFundMe to help her 2 young sons.
It's horrible. It's devastating. I feel so bad for the family of whoever passed.
Brown and her team at Athens have set up a GoFundMe for Cook, who has serious injuries. She was scheduled to have surgery on Monday as the community continues to rally behind her.
My phone's been ringing off the hook because they know that she's here with us every day and
takes care of the customers, and that's all you can ask for. And we hope the best for her.
Now, Cooch faces multiple charges, including homicide by vehicle. The Beaver County District Attorney says they've been in contact with ICE and are in the process of lodging a detainer.
A suspected drunk driver is charged.
Mostly peaceful DUI. We're going to say it's time to sue the Democrat Party into bankruptcy for creating this, creating this crime wave. How about that? We'll go with that. Enter. All right. Ugh, I hate these stories. Here's a nice meme. How you acted during COVID is exactly how you are. Is that fair? How you acted during COVID is exactly who you are. Is that something we would disagree with? Or is it something we would agree with? I think it's pretty fair to say how you acted during COVID is exactly who you are. I think this is the clip I was trying to play earlier.
President Obama was a terrible president. President Biden was the worst president in the history of our country. President Bush should not have gone into the Middle East and blown the place up. So I don't give him high marks either. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. I give Trump very high marks. Goodbye, everybody. President.
I give Trump. Well, he talks third person. He does it in a funny way. No, I don't want to leave the site. Cancel. There we go. People like LeBron do it. It's very different. It's a little douchey. All right. University of Pennsylvania has agreed to right its wrongs. Here, this is on Fox News, a quote from Riley Gaines. Restore records to the rightful female athletes. Issue an apology to the women impacted by the man they allowed to compete as a woman. Are pigs flying? God bless President Trump. Completely vindicated. So great. We're going to put an amen button on here. This really is the answer to so many prayers. This should have never gone this far. We should have never played this game. We should have never let people push this on us. Roman helmet guy, bringing us a little bit of perspective here, says, clicking. There we go. The current leftist position is that we need to triple the minimum wage and then sneak 10 million people into the country to do all the real work for $5 an hour. Wow. Current leftist position. Let's triple minimum wage, then sneak 10 million people into America to do all the real work for $5 an hour. Man. All right, Real Estate of America. Been sharing a lot of their stuff lately. Been seeing a lot of it. I'll do it like this. Deb 100% agrees. It's crazy, isn't it? Jury has found Sean Diddy Combs guilty of only transportation for prostitution, the less serious charge. Racketeering, not guilty. Trafficking Cassie, not guilty. Transport Cassie, guilty. Trafficking Jane Doe, not guilty. Transport Jane Doe, guilty. You know, can we talk about this transport for prostitution thing? Hang on, let me zoom in. How do I zoom this in? I guess it's maybe a transportation to engage in prostitution. I mean, you're sort of walking a really fine line when you're talking about prostitution. I mean, with all the hookup sites, the dating apps, I mean, what? You take somebody out for dinner and you hook up? Are they being paid to hook up? Take somebody out to go do something, dating, and then you hook up? Is that prostitution? You're paying somebody, you're giving them in transportation. You ever call an Uber for somebody? Ever give somebody an Uber home? Sounds like Jane Doe was a hoe. Patriot Warrior Texas is already jumping in. Like we got another Kenneth over here. I love the jokes. And Deb hitting the jokes today. Haven't checked in from David yet. We got people everywhere who are cracking up on the jokes. But no, I don't really know the full situation here. I don't want to make fun of if somebody was, literally trafficked. And we saw a video of Diddy hitting girls and, some gross shit happening. It's just kind of confusing why. The district attorney, I guess they didn't drop the charges, but they withdrew charges, meaning they could bring them up in the future. But for sentencing, they tried to simplify it, but he's like not guilty on all these things. It looks like he's guilty of calling an Uber for someone that he's going to bang. Oh, no. Transportation. He transported somebody home after hooking up with them the night before. Oh, no. Okay, maybe that's not exactly what it is, but transportation for prostitution, like prostitution's a very fine line. Just see the halls of our Congress for examples. Prostitutes, all of them, except Thomas Massey and Rand Paul. Okay, it's more than just those two, but you get my point. I didn't really expect this. Is the U.S. justice system absolutely garbage? I don't know. So let me ask you. Diddy. Let me switch. Let me go to 3. Let's try this. Diddy deserved. How am I going to say this? Diddy deserved to be found not guilty of the most serious charges. Agree or disagree? All right. Well, I mean, that's breaking news. President Trump says, I just made a trade deal with Vietnam. Details to follow. All right, we'll see what that means. Trade deals are good because trade deals help the United States. I mean, by the way, talking about good, look at the GOP who strongly approve of President Trump. Would you believe how high these ratings are?
Every politician would like this number here, especially to see it go up.
Uh-huh. This person in the comments, I can't believe CNN actually aired this. Next comment, it's time to face the facts, liberals. Your hateful, abusive tactics are backfiring. This one says it's because of the promises that he's kept.
How about compared to other presidents who were Republicans?
Yeah. Patriot Warrior Texas, John Boy, saying he disagrees that Diddy should have been found not guilty of these charges.
It's history making. It's history making. What are we talking about here? So why don't we look back? We have all the presidents, Republican presidents, going back over the last 35, 36, 37 years. What are we talking about? GOP who strongly approved 5 months in. Look at this. George H.W. Bush, Bush 41, 46%. Bush 43, 59. You see Trump, the first term, 53. But look at this. 63%. He beats all the other Republicans on the board here. And I was looking even back since Reagan. And get this, Donald Trump beats Ronald Reagan when it comes to the strongly approved 5 months. And of course, Reagan was coming off that high after that assassination attempt. So the bottom line is Donald Trump is making history with the Republican base. He is more beloved by this Republican base than any Republican base loved any GOP president 5 months in. It is history making.
I mean,
and this is what happens when you cheat him out of his second term. And we got to go through the most disastrous anti-American nightmare we've ever seen with this Biden, Kamala, Obama pulling the puppet strings. It is a breath of fresh air. The adults are back in charge. Now, that's not to say I like everything Trump does. In fact, I called him out for, he's doing it again, going after people. It's why we love him sometimes, but it's also why he's kind of cringeworthy other times. Going after Thomas Massey, Rand Paul, and there was another one. It might be in my Twitter feed. We'll see if we get to it on X. But yeah, President Trump is getting so many things done that we've been screaming to get done. How could you be anything but thrilled that we're finally here? So congratulations to President Trump. Let's keep it up. Yes, what is this? Trump makes a statement. As president of the United States, I'm not going to let this communist lunatic destroy New York. Rest assured, I hold all the levers and have all the cards. I'll save New York and make it hot and great again, just like I did with the good old USA. That's pretty great. All right, let's go ahead and share our X feed here. Hit like and hit subscribe to all the new places at the bottom that are scrolling at the bottom of the screen for the New American Media so that you can connect with us in all of the places. Additionally, our donation links are here. We're on Patreon at the New American Media. Thank you to the monthly subscribers. It is a new month, so that I believe was billed. I don't know if that went through. Let me click on that. Does it show monthly? I think it shows monthly. Oh, it shows July already. Kaboom. Nice. Thank you, everybody in July. We appreciate it. Because, my goodness, the monthly expenditures to produce this program are through the roof. And I run a super tight ship. It's just, like $800 to buy this program for a year. It's like $70 a month or something. It's like, that's the minimum break even. Had to re-sign up for my website and stuff. That was another $1,000. It's just, it all added up. So thank you all, because it's like the more I'm at least breaking even, if I'm not even earning a living with this yet, after 14 years, mind you, it makes it worth it. It makes the expenditures of time and resources worth doing. So thank you all who are contributing to the New American Media on Patreon. Our tip jar is also on Venmo and Cash App at BrianEngelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment, or at Fuzz Installment at Yahoo is the email address to enter. So thank you, everybody, for that. All right. Yeah, now get the Epstein files out. Exactly. Also, I really don't know enough about Diddy to weigh in or care. Yeah, I followed this case at a distance. I don't know. I mean, was this all just to slander and defame him? Was it all true in New York? You can't get an honest trial. They'll wrongfully convict Trump, but then they'll let this creep Diddy walk. I don't really know. I don't really know. But yeah, agreed. Let's get the Epstein files out already. As I mentioned, let me make this larger on the screen. Pinned to our X feed at American_media_. You will find our Patreon link, our interview with John B. Wells, where you can sign up to support our program. Thank you, everybody. So here you go. Let's get some feedback here. MSNBC reading the verdict in the Sean Combs sex trafficking trial.
The first verdict on count 1, racketeering conspiracy. How do you find the defendant not guilty? And so now they'll move on to count 2. Count 2, how do you find the defendant not guilty? That is the sex trafficking of Cassandra Ventura. On count 3, which is Mann Act transportation involving Cassie Ventura, guilty. Count 4, sex trafficking of Jane, not guilty. Count 5, Mann Act transportation of Jane, guilty. So a mixed verdict here. Not guilty on 3 of the charges, guilty on 2 of the charges. Lisa, your reaction? Have the first verdict.
All right. Megyn Kelly has thoughts on this.
Times reporting here, caller from inside the courtroom. Sean Combs is smiling as he shook one of his lawyer's hands and turned again to look at his family. He put his hands together in prayer and mouthed, thank you at the jury. That's the right thing to say, Sean Combs. He pumped his right fist. Yep, this is exactly the right attitude for Sean Combs, who just got away with serious felonies, in my view. He's guilty as sin, in my view, and this jury just gave him a total pass. They bought Mark Agnifalo's argument, it appears, the same one that did not work for Agnifalo in the NXIVM sex cult case out of Albany, New York, in which he went in there and said, these women, we don't do sex cults. Women are powerful. Women make their own decisions. These women up in this other case chose to have themselves branded. No one made them with this guy's initials. And he tried the same thing here, but with a much, much better result. Times reporting here.
Yeah, that's a strange take. Transportation to engage in prostitution. I mean, the Democrats really like their prostitution these days. So, I mean, sex work is real work, they say. So we'll unpack that as we get more info on it. I do a sports show called The Unhappy Hour, and look, I'm just going to share this with you for the perspective of how football is supposed to be played. The new stadium is going to be a dome, and I'm calling for the dome to be redesigned so that it can open directly over the stadium and let the snow in, let the rain in. It's supposed to be in the elements. I don't think the fans should have to be subjected to a super uncomfortable experience. So make the dome stadium covered, except for right over that rectangle of the field, and let it snow. But this was a take they had here on this show.
The home field advantage that people keep complaining about. Oh, the Browns are going to lose their home field advantage, blah, blah, blah. And he said, it's given us 0 weather home field advantage. We are 86 and 123 and 1 since 1999. There is no home field advantage playing in the crappy weather on the lake for the Cleveland Browns.
Well, but that's because we've been a crappy team.
It's just the detractors just make no sense to me. They're kind of just people who don't like change. They're just, you know what I mean? Or they will complain about anything. Hey, here's the nicest stadium in the NFL. Your players are going to be super happy. You're going to attract billions and billions of dollars of revenue into this area and revitalize possibly 2 areas if they build up Brook Park and then they have the downtown connected with transit. You're going to potentially have 2 booming economies because of this. I got it. Oh, that's awful.
What are you telling me I'm not going to be cold anymore? Oh. Get the hell out of here.
Supposed to be played. Yeah. No, football was just played that way because it was the only option.
Yep. It says the people sitting on their.
I love weather games. I had one of my most epic moments in a blizzard game. They had to plow the field at halftime, and by the time we came back after halftime, it was covered in snow again. In fact, I had the awesome opportunity to go speak to my high school football program a week or two ago. It was pretty cool. And I showed him that picture. I'm like, this was the picture of our program for years and years, our sports program. It was my picture of a sack in the playoffs in an absolute blizzard. I don't like turf, and I don't like domes. I just don't. I don't prefer them. I like grass, and I like being outside.
Their couch. Oh, they should be out there in the cold weather. That's what makes football football. Go to the game.
Yeah, it sucks.
Couch, go to the game.
It sucks. It's cold. Yeah. You got to wear a lot of layers and warmers and drink.
My favorite part is the people saying that are the same people you can't give a ticket to once it hits October, November.
Right.
Exactly.
You know, this is football weather. Oh, well, hey, I got 2 extra tickets. You want to go to the game for free in December 1st? No, I'm not driving up there to sit in the cold for 4 hours. Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, but you're usually saying that when the team is 2-14. So you can't say that's just because of weather. But I take their point. Anyway, that's just something that I had on my feed, and I'm tagging at the unhappy hour _ I love it. Look at this, all this mud. No. Plowing the field. Look at how great this is. Gotta mute this. They're gonna flag us for a 1970s stock song. Yeah, mud, precipitation. Oh, I love it. That's football. That's the best. Remember this one? This was last year. This was Jameis Winston in the snow. This was, what was this? Was this a Thursday night? I'm trying to remember what this was. But yeah, against the Steelers, this is the play that essentially won the game. Jameis jumping, getting blasted, holding onto the ball in the end zone. I think this was essentially the game-winning score. Look at the blizzard. They call it the snow globe game. I feel like this is what my picture in the newspaper the next day looked like, in an absolute blizzard. And I don't want to lose
chance to make it right.
I don't want to lose that in football. So go ahead and vote in our TNAM poll at American_media_. Should we keep the weather or disagree and play in a dome? That's the rendering of what it's going to be. I mean, it's going to be a great thing for Northeast Ohio for sure. And as we were looking, we came across this cool old photo of Jim Brown out there running and training with Muhammad Ali. How wild is that? All right. Laura Loomer says, this is hilarious. Joy Reid says that Ron DeSantis just created a what? Take a listen to this freezing cold take.
I had to forget about him, but Ron DeSantis is still governor of Florida. He took the Comfy Couch hosts on a tour of the concentration.
The Comfy Couch hosts? What's that?
Camp that he's building in Florida.
She called it a concentration camp?
Of the concentration camp that he's building in Florida in order to...
This is the lady that got fired from her crap job on MSNBC, right?
To round up brown people, and throw them in a camp.
She says they're going to round up brown people and throw them in a camp. What an asshole. You do not dislike people like Joy Reid nearly enough.
Because he doesn't want them in Florida. Surprise, surprise.
He doesn't want brown people in Florida, she says. Oh, this liar is just disgusting with this rhetoric.
Surprise, the economy of Florida is going to be severely harmed by rounding up brown people who, by the way,
rounding up brown people. You know what? They're going to round up Chinese. What do you call them? Yellow people? They're just people. If you got to add a color, what do you call them? Yellow? You call me white. I'm not white. I was actually pretty tan last week. Too tan. Actually, a little peeling on the shoulders. I'm not white. I'm peach. I'm beige, I'm tan, I'm something. I do have a... This isn't rounding up brown people. It's also going to get rid of anybody who's in the country illegally. Ukrainians, I don't want Ukrainians or Russians or Jews or Palestinians or... Although the UK is going to be an interesting example because they've gone full totalitarian and there are legitimate claims of political persecution happening over there. We might want to consider allowing some white people from those nations. The problem is that the asylum claims have been so abused. They figured out, oh, there's our loophole. If everybody claims it's an asylum case, then they have to let us in. They've been gaming the system, bending and breaking the intent of how the policies were written so that they could flood America and flood nations across the globe with non-citizens to permanently change the demographics of their nation. And that's not to add more brown people. That's to add more non-citizens of all colors to that area. Now, just because they're primarily coming from Central America and South America and Africa doesn't just mean brown people. They're coming from China. They're coming from Iran. They're coming from Ukraine. They're coming from all over the globe. China. But this Joy Reid wants to just try to pretend this is about Ron DeSantis wanting to... Ugh. Joy Reid is awful.
By rounding up brown people who, by the way, all over this country, Latinos are afraid to go to work. Anybody who is perceived or looks Latino is afraid to go to work. I know people who are trying to forget about.
That's absurd. Why would you be afraid to go to work if you're in this country legally? And if you're here illegally, you probably should be terrified to go to work because you're breaking the law and you know it. You're here illegally and you know it. Laura Loomer says, hilarious. Joy Reid says DeSantis just created a concentration camp for brown people in the Everglades. She's, of course, referring to Alligator Alcatraz. Hey, Joy, last time I checked, the ovens at Auschwitz didn't have air conditioning. Alligator Alcatraz does. Joy Reid. Joy, another Jane Doe. Joy Reid. All right. Let's take a look at this, by the way. Nick Sorter is stacking up wins for President Trump here. CBS's parent company just agreed to pay President Trump $16 million after they deceptively edited Kamala's 60 Minutes interview. Another huge legal win for Trump. Within the past several months, he's been paid $16 million by ABC and $25 million by Meta. Let's take a listen to what they did to push election interference in America. The left, the Democrats. Here's the actual answer from Kamala. It leaves you scratching your head going, are you mentally challenged? Is there something like, what is glitching in your head? Like Glitch McConnell. You're like, bro, are you okay?
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
But it's
that was a totally different answer. The Democrats rigged their primary to put Biden in. They staged a coup to get rid of Biden. They hand appointed the person they let to lead their coup in Kamala Harris. And then they put her on friendly talk shows like this to babble and stammer through answers. And when it sucked, they deceptively edited to make her seem more rational, competent than she is. That's election interference from the deep state. And President Trump is cashing in because that had a negative ramification. If you would have been able to hear how dumb Kamala and the Democrats are, more people would have voted them out. Okay, Election Wizard says the sum that CBS agreed to pay could exceed 30 million. So I'm hearing different numbers, 30 and 16. That's a double. Brian Cates says this is the biggest sea change thus far on the fake news propaganda front. An already weakened industry having to pony up significant court awards and settlements for their propaganda efforts during an election cycle. To the political candidate they tried to defeat while dishonestly professing neutrality. By the time he leaves office, Trump may have forced the declining fake news to hand over well north of $500 million to him in awards for defamation or illegal contributions to political campaigns. Because doesn't it turn into a political campaign contribution? I think it is. Kamala's a whistleblower. Just ask Willie the Whistle. Willie the Whistle Brown. Yeah, that's how she got her political start, right? Liz Churchill wants to arrest the people if the 1,100% increase in autism from the Hep B vaccine. Bobby Kennedy, Director of Health and Human Services, was out there discussing that report and then explaining what they did to change those numbers by fraudulently omitting people from the study, the survey. Well, if that's the case, just imagine what else these psychopaths are hiding. Fauci and Gates, good riddance to all of them. Indict Fauci already and go after Gates. Kevin Kiley says Gavin Newsom went to his district and absurdly tried to blame him and Trump for his own disastrous wildlife record. NPR investigated and found Newsom slashed $150 million from fire prevention and overstated by an astounding 690% the number of acres that have been treated. Shame on him. You want to talk about word salad? Kevin Dalton says Gavin Newsom began word salading so hard I thought Kamala Harris loaded his teleprompter. Adam Carolla says he doesn't know what he is saying or doing.
Consequence of all of that, we have too much demand chasing too little supply. It's not complicated. This is Econ 101, supply-demand imbalance. I've said it before, I'll repeat it. This issue of housing explains more things in more ways on more days than any other issue to explain the challenges and the plight of so many Californians. So many of the challenges that ail us can be connected back to this issue. Unless we address this issue head on, we'll continue to be vexed by so many of these challenges as it relates to the challenges of the middle class and working folks, the issues of what's happening on our streets, in sidewalks. All of these things are foundationally and fundamentally connected.
How many people have you heard say so much and say so little? Elon Musk saying, when are they going to flatten this curve? This is the U.S. national debt from 1900 to 2020. It only really took off in post-World War II. So did we lose the war? That's when the debt started, and then it kablamoed in the 80s, 90s to 2000. Then in 2000, it went bonkers after 9/11. Are we going to flatten that curve? Babylon B says, a liberal in a private jet is upset as he looks down and sees all the cows who are causing climate change. That's parody. That's humor. Check out yesterday's show on our X feed. It's a big, beautiful bill wins 51-50 on VP Vance tiebreaker vote. What comes next? What comes next is the House. Deb Rooney. She's not from San Francisco, but this story is.
Yes, I think you should, maybe if you'd have stayed here, Stuart, it wouldn't have gone downhill so quickly. I think the problem is it's just these far left policies with no accountability, no check on their ideological extremism, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And so you see the terrible, tragic situation where San Francisco was recently rated the worst run city in America.
That's in Gavin Newsom's California. I love our American cities. I love our big blue cities. We just need new ownership in the most desperate, urgent kind of way possible.
Of course, there's tough competition for that just a little bit further down the California coast in Los Angeles. And you see in these places just the collapse of basic standards of civilized life. It is so shocking to me that in these cities, in particular San Francisco, where it is the heart of the tech economy, which is driving the fact that Statistically, California is the fourth biggest economy in the world. And yet you have these scenes of squalor and decay and collapse of public life and the streets stinking of urine and feces and people just sleeping on the streets. How can we allow this to have happened? It is completely unacceptable.
It is completely unacceptable. Patriot Warrior saying, Elon, we will flatten that curve when Doge comes to you. Well, look, I'm going to cover a story here in a second. Trump is going after Elon, and I don't think that's cool. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm an Elon supporter, and I just call it as I see it. And I don't like what I'm hearing from President Trump about Elon. We'll get to that on Doge in a second. But yeah, these blue cities need all new leadership. New York, no more commies, no more socialists, no more Democrats, no more deep state globalists. You need common sense mayors in these cities. You need common sense. And that's MAGA. Most of what MAGA is common sense. You can argue the big, beautiful bill spends too much. I'm in agreement. But you need common sense policy in these crazy backward blue states, blue cities. And if we're able to run a census and only count citizens, filter out all the illegals, and recalibrate our government so that the Democrats don't have this artificially inflated number of representation, of representatives because of representation, then we'd be well on our way to getting things back on track. But we are desperately off track right now. Hey, you were talking about whistleblowers. Kamala, the whistleblower, and Willie Whistle Brown. Here is John Solomon reporting. You want to hear how bad it was, the collusion to take out President Trump? Here you go.
Senator Johnson, Senator Grassley just sent this to me a little bit ago while we're on air. It's a major development. You're taking a look at a letter right there that was just sent to the FBI Director Kash Patel and the Attorney General Pam Bondi. What does it say? It says that Congress has obtained evidence that shows that the Biden White House was directly involved in trying to help start Jack Smith's investigation on the January 6th probe against President Trump. Specifically, that the White House counsel's office secretly obtained President Trump's and Vice President Mike Pence's former phones and giving them to the prosecutors, basically sicking the Justice Department on his future competitor, his future rival in the 2024 election, so that they could look for dirt for possible crimes. There's a lot more coming in. There's a lot of other evidence as well of the White House involvement. Remember, 2 years ago, we were the first news agency, right here, Real America's Voice, Just the News, to report that a White House counsel was directly involved with this investigation. Now, more details, including getting, imagine this, you're the Democrat president and you go get the old Republican's phone for your prior president and send it to the Justice Department. That's what Senators Johnson and Grassley were able to confirm tonight. It's in that letter. Keep an eye on justthenews.com. We're going to get you up to speed on that all throughout the night. A lot more development. Senator
Yep. It's a coordinated attack to take Trump out, and it's time to fight back. It's time to go investigate and indict these people who have been guilty of civil rights abuses and election interference, without a doubt. Todd Starnes says his feed is filled with dozens of lawmakers stranded, attempting to return to Washington for today's Better Business Big Beautiful Bill vote. I keep messing up the triple B. Why weren't they in D.C. to begin with? Did today's vote catch them by surprise? Isn't Congress still in session? Yeah, this is getting weird with Congress. Rasmussen reports says CBS avoided a bunker buster license forfeiture in an FCC action. News distortion is a most heinous act against the public interest. They did it when they reconstructed a Harris word salad interview answer for her sole political benefit. Here's Tom Homan talking about the true measure of destruction that the Democrats have been engaged in on the southern border.
The cartels don't care. The last administration, over 500,000 children were smuggled in this country, separated from their families, put in the hands of criminal cartels to be smuggled in the country. If I leave my child in a car while I go to get groceries, I'll get arrested. But your last administration couldn't locate 300,000 of them. Why is anybody talking about that? You want to call ICE harvest, but you want to give the last administration a pass for opening the border up. 500,000 kids smuggled in this country, and we can't find them. We're out there right now trying to save them. We found thousands of them, thousands. And many of them are safety and security. They're with family members. Some aren't. Some are in sex trafficking. Some are in forced labor trafficking. But we're the bad guys. And for all these Democrats on Hill that want to scream and yell about Trump and what ICE is doing right now, where were you when 300,000 children can't be found that you released to unvetted sponsors. Where were you then? Silence. But all of a sudden, we're the bad guys.
Yeah. Don't let them gaslight you into making you think that they're the bad guys. So, yeah, I'm still trying to lock down the exact amount of the settlement from Paramount CBS. Paramount was trying to do a merger, and this was, you can't really complete a transaction if you have pending litigation, rather. Well, maybe both, but this opens the door now. But it's time that these lying legacy media companies have to answer for what they've done. Yeah. When the trade deals are done, start counting how much revenue is coming in then, on top of industries coming back, bringing trillions of investments and millions of new American jobs for Americans instead of illegal alien invaders. So, yeah, I mean, CNBC even has to report on this.
Look how much we've been collecting in revenues. And I did this in part because Wilfred's here and he can talk about the UK trade deal. But just this is the monthly numbers. And they have gone up a lot. June is actually set for another big increase of $27 billion. That is money coming into U.S. coffers from tariffs. We are collecting a lot of revenue. So far, guys, $121 billion has flowed into the U.S. government since the start of the fiscal year. It's still a tiny portion of the overall revenues that the U.S. government gets, but it's increasingly a lot, especially we haven't seen it in terms of the consumer paying off higher inflation. Look how
it's increasingly a lot. So Riley Gaines said UPenn agreed to right its wrongs, restore records to the rightful female athletes, issue an apology to the women impacted by the man they allowed to compete as a woman. Are pigs flying? God bless Trump. Alex says now that Trump has cut off the federal funding, public universities are suddenly saying men should not be able to invade women's sports. This was all paid for with taxpayer dollars and administered by groups like BlackRock. Is that real? On CNN, you got Clinton-era Democrats. Scott Jennings says it's funny to hear Clinton-era Democrats arguing against Medicaid work requirements. They're the ones that thought of it in the first place.
This bill is a political suicide note for the Republican Party. Last time they tried this, the Democrats won 41 House seats after Trump's first midterm. They'll exceed that this time. 489 days. They'll do better than 41 seats. This is absolute death knell for the House Republicans. Maybe Senate, too.
I should have started my remarks by thanking you because it was President Bill Clinton in the 90s that thought of work requirements for Medicaid.
But two-thirds of people on Medicaid already work.
Which is all we're doing here.
They already do it.
They
already do it. We did it.
If you want to get up and go to work, you're going to get your Medicaid. And if you're an illegal alien, you're not going to get your Medicaid. Everybody else is going to be fine.
14 million
generational
people.
Welfare reform built on your all's ideas. So I thank you. I sincerely thank you.
Questions about what's happening in Vegas.
We are on Tropicana in front of the Walmart. Every last one of the light poles, the electricity poles are down.
Did somebody cut
this? This goes for miles. We ain't got no power. I don't know what the hell is going on. This goes for miles, y'all. Look at the
terrorism.
It goes all the way down, miles. What the hell?
What's going on?
What the hell?
All right, I got it. You can't just keep repeating yourself. Add some new commentary. Yesterday was not normal. An intense monsoon. Flooding in the oh, that's right. We did see flooding in the streets and parking garages. Then it was gone in a few hours. A few trees snapped and garbage cans were everywhere. Never seen rows of power lines, massive trees, and even 14,000-pound RV trailers flipped on their side. Crews still working to make repairs to equipment after severe weather and winds damaged 50 poles in Vegas. They're saying it was weather?
We got wire down from Topaz all the way down to Sand Hill on
If you see that, do not touch it. Steer clear.
Tropicana, which equates to
comments calling bullcrap. Poles are rated for 130-mile-an-hour winds. Can't come down from gusts of 70 to 100. It's neglect and or sabotage. Trees are all around. There's no leaf or limb on the ground. But all the poles are down? Yeah, maybe it's time to run these underground. Exactly.
About 25 poles. We got wire down from Topaz all the way down to...
It seems like foul play to me. All right, there's your first tree picture. I don't know. Keep your eyes posted on Vegas. Stephen Miller says the fact that major national media networks keep settling lawsuits before discovery can happen should be a huge, giant tell about what's going on with their industry. They would rather pay up instead of go through discovery. Imagine how much worse it is. Just imagine how much worse it is. Yeah, Mike does live in Vegas. I did see this yesterday. I'm seeing it today as well. So, yeah, the streets are clean too. Good point. Now, I don't know selectively what images are we looking at, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe eco-terrorism. This guy, I guess it's a band called Bob Villain, taken off of the lineup in a festival in Manchester after they were criticized for comments made during their Glastonbury set. Let's ask Grok. What did Bob Villain say to get removed from shows? And Bob Villain is a band, it's a duo, British punk rap. They were at Glastonbury Festival June 28th. The lead singer, Bobby Villain, led the crowd in chants of death, death to the IDF, referring to the Israel Defense Forces, and free, free Palestine, while a screen displayed a message calling Israel's actions in Gaza a genocide. These remarks, broadcast live by BBC, sparked significant backlash, with Glastonbury organizers, BBC and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, condemning them as hate speech and incitement to violence. As a result, their U.S. visas were revoked by the State Department. Their talent agency, UTA, dropped them, and they were removed from upcoming festivals in Manchester, Radar Festival, in France, Cave Fest. An additional cancellation is likely due to ongoing controversy and a UK criminal investigation into possible hate crimes. The band has denied anti-Semitic intent, framing their statements as opposition to a violent military machine. In case you missed that story. All right, so here's the question that came up about President Trump. I don't like this at all.
The rest. We got a lot of hostages back, but we're going to talk about that.
Trump speaking before he leaves for Alligator Alcatraz. A reporter asks, are you going to deport Elon Musk?
I don't know. I think we'll have to take a look.
I don't know. I don't know. I think we'll have to take a look.
We might have to put Doge on Elon.
We might have to put Doge on Elon.
You know what Doge is?
You know what Doge is?
Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon.
Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon.
That'd be terrible.
I think that would be terrible.
That might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible?
Wouldn't that be terrible?
He gets a lot of subsidies, Peter.
Peter, is that Peter Ducey? He gets a lot of subsidies, Trump says.
But Elon's very upset that the EV mandate is going to be terminated. And you know what? When you look at it, not everybody wants an electric car. I don't want an electric car. I want to have maybe gasoline, maybe electric, maybe a hybrid, maybe someday a hydrogen. If you have a hydrogen car, it has one problem. It blows up, So I'm going to give that one to Peter. I'm going to let Peter test it out. The rest.
And it's not like Trump came out and said this but just off the cuff going after Elon that did so damn much. His brand and his personal. Elon has never been hated the way that he was when he started working with Doge to clean up the waste, fraud, and abuse in our federal government. For that, we owe an enormous debt of gratitude. And it's ongoing because the concept of Doge is living on. And even Big Balls is moving over to Social Security Administration to clean up all these roles. And how are these dead people being allowed to? There have to be things that ping in the system to stop vote fraud, Medicaid fraud, Medicare fraud, Social Security fraud, benefits fraud. I don't like Trump fighting with Elon, Rand Paul, Thomas Massey. I don't like it. There's libertarian leanings from some of these three in different ways. And there are in some ways that I wish President Trump would be a little bit more budget friendly with the economy, with figuring out how we're going to be spending our money and what the balance is going to look like on our debt sheets. I wish he'd pay more attention to that in these 10-year projections. Of course, it's not accounting for cutting all the waste, fraud, and abuse that Doge did, not accounting for all the tariff money that's coming in. We were warned tariffs are going to lead to a massive recession. That hasn't happened. No, and you're exactly right, Patriot Warrior Texas. All Elon has to do is shut his mouth. To be fair, I don't think Elon's been saying much lately. I think his last post about when are we going to address this? When are we going to flatten this curve? And he's showing a document of how much debt we're in. Like, it's unsustainable. We're in bankruptcy territory. Elon did something really stupid by he flat out accused President Trump of being on the Epstein list, which is why it didn't come out. But when you see like the hostage videos of Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, we're going to release the Epstein files, and they give a bunch of pre-selected media influencers binders, like they went to Staples in 1998, and there's nothing in the binders. You have to wonder, did President Trump give Bondi, Patel, and Bongino marching orders not to release the Epstein files for some reason? Is it because Epstein's not really gone? He's just in witness protection while they're building the cases on everyone? Is it because everybody's compromised, including President Trump, and he can't allow that information to come out? We don't know. And in the absence, I say this all the time, in the absence of information, speculation will run rampant. In the absence of information, speculation will run rampant. Fact. That being said, no, I didn't like what Elon did when he went out there accusing Trump of being on the Epstein list. I didn't like it. Because if Elon has proof for that, drop the proof. And if you don't have proof, shut up, you know? And President Trump going after Massey, going after Rand Paul, going after Elon Musk, there's not a lot of compatriots you have in that federal government and in a position where Elon is to help with Doge and all the other things. These are bridges you might not want to be burning. All right, Patriot Warriors agreeing, though. Pam Blondie, Cashless, and Bongino have failed us. Yeah, we've been frustrated by it. As long as I've been doing my show, as long as they've been in power, it's like, what are you waiting for? Day one, go get them. Go, move faster. The Bella's chance does have a point here. Let me put it on the screen. Well, I'll do this one first. Say what you will. I believe what Trump is doing is on purpose. Oh, no, I'm sorry. These are two different comments. This was about the power lines in Vegas. It looks like it was done on purpose. It looks like it was done on purpose to me. I don't know how. It looks snapped, not sawed. I don't know. We'll investigate. But the point I was looking at was, in my opinion, Bella says, there's a purpose for everything President Trump says and does. I'll wait for his purpose. I know there is one. I know, but that gets into that dangerous territory of, just wait, trust the plan. There's a big, beautiful plan coming. It's like, don't make me wait. I don't want to wait. I don't want to sit back. I want action. If I don't know what's going on, I'm going to start doing stuff. And you can't wait forever. Like, we waited through 4 years of a Biden residency without anybody holding them accountable for what they did to fortify 2020 and install him after kicking Trump out and then trying to lawfare Trump into jail so they could Epstein him. I'm not waiting. So no trusting the plan for me. But I take your point. I hope I'm wrong. I hope there is a big, beautiful plan, the BBP. Libs of TikTok saying President Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. And look, Elon here. Okay, Patriot Warrior Texas, most polls snap in the middle, not the bottom. And at the bottom is where you could saw them off. I don't know, though. They look splintered. They don't look sawed, but I'm open to it. But look, Elon here said credit where credit is due. This is just 12 hours ago, 1:46 in the morning yesterday. Real Donald Trump has successfully resolved several serious conflicts around the world. Libs of TikTok is saying Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. Donald Trump says, my representatives had a long and productive meeting with the Israelis today on Gaza. Israel has agreed to the necessary conditions to finalize the 60-day ceasefire, during which time we will work with all parties to end the war. The Qataris and Egyptians who have worked very hard to bring peace, and that's good because they're the neighbors. They need to step up and do something. Oh, it's an open air prison, they say. Oh, they whine incessantly. Oh, Gaza, it's an open air prison. Israel, Israel, Israel. Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. Russia, Russia, Russia. Blah, 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 blah. All right. Actually, let me check with Grok. Do I have this right? Because there's a point I'm making. Who shares borders with Gaza? It should tell me Egypt in the southwest, Mediterranean Sea to the west, Israel to the north and the east. So Qatar, or the Qataris, Qatar. But the Egyptians share the border with Gaza. They don't want people from Gaza going into Egypt. Do you want to know why? Why one brown country doesn't want other brown people from that one particular country going in? Just to go back to Joyless Reed, since everything has to be about color, even though it doesn't. It's because the people of Gaza, the terrorists there, are people that Egypt doesn't want infiltrating their society. We've read articles and articles about this. There's a bad corrosive element to Gaza. Oh, Hamas doesn't speak for Gaza. Then why are they running the country? Well, the population, they're like 80% youngsters, and they didn't vote them in. Okay, so there's no culpability. I can understand that, because at the time I'm going, well, I didn't vote for Biden. Don't hold me accountable for the installation of Joe Biden. I mean, who really thought 81 million totally legitimate votes? Get out of here. I don't buy that for a second. Don't hold me accountable for Joe Biden being in charge. So they're saying don't hold Gaza responsible for Hamas. They seized control and they won't let go. They're tyrants. Well, then how about have a revolution? Take them out. Well, you can't take them out. They're too powerful. All right, well, Israel took them out. Well, you're being too brutal in the way that you're taking them out. Oh, for fuck's sake, you can't win a conversation with someone who wants to do everything in their power to only attack Israel. Every chance they get, everything's negative on Israel. It's an open-air prison. Israel's created an apartheid state. It's a blockade. They won't let anything in or out. No wonder they become terrorists. It's all because of Israel. And you go, okay. Cool story. Now, tell me about Egypt. Is Egypt doing these things to harm Gaza? Take Israel out of the equation. Why aren't you holding Egypt to the same energy you're holding Israel accountable to? Where's that energy? Where's that same level of anger, frustration, rage, second-guessing, moral outrage over Egypt? It's not there. It's not there. It's all anti-Israel. For some reason. Because reasons. And so, anyway, that's all just to say in here. The Qataris and Egyptians, who have worked very hard to help bring peace, will deliver the final peace proposal. Fucking bravo. Take Israel out of it and give the other Gaza neighbor the chance to step up and do something. Why do we have to be so damn involved? Well, it's because Israel's our 51st state. I don't remember electing Israel as our 51st state. Seems like they got a lot of influence. Maybe only Thomas Massey's the one that doesn't have an AIPAC representative. Maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene, maybe Rand Paul, maybe a handful of people. Otherwise, some people claim Israel runs the U.S. Is that true? Is that not true? But you hear the open air prison. It's totalitarian. It's apartheid. Well, go after Egypt, would you? They haven't been. They get a free pass for some reason, and it's not cool. Once again, I have no horse in the race. I don't particularly care. I just want the two idiots to stop bombing each other and harming each other in the sandbox. If you can't play with each other in the sandbox, you're both out. We're going to put the lid back on. We're going to lock it down. Nobody gets to play in there. I've said for a long time, if you guys can't stop blowing each other up over there, you're all evicted, all of you. Draw a really big, you go to Greenland, you go to Iceland, you go to Mexico, you go to the American Southwest, you go up to Alaska. I don't care. You go you can all go to Mars for all I care. You won't stop hurting each other. Your two neighbors that won't stop blowing each other up, you're both fired. You're both out. You both got to go. No, they're wrong. No, they're wrong. No, see, they weren't even a nation until 1947. No, Palestine was never a nation. No, God promised us this land. No, it was all Arab until you got here. No, it wasn't even Arab until Muhammad, which was 1,000-something years ago. No, see, my God's better than your God. And it's just shut up, both of you. Shut up, all of you. Everybody shut the front door. Shut up. Everybody shut up. I don't care about your flying spaghetti monster. I don't care about your flying spaghetti monster. No, I'm a Jew, so my God is the real God. No, I am Islamic, so my God is the real God. Shut up. All of you shut up. Get along or piss off. Get along or go to hell. I'm just so sick of it. Tensions arise in the Middle East as a homicide bomber took the lives of 7 innocents at a coffee shop the other day in Bangladesh, in Madagascar, in Mozambique, in Jerusalem, in whatever the case may be. It's just exhausting. It's just exhausting, guys and girls. It's exhausting. Sorry, I went off on a little bit of an unplanned tangent. But that was just because President Trump is saying Egypt is finally going to do some heavy lifting. The other Gaza neighbor that's responsible for their open air prisons. Good. So Qatar and Egypt are going to deliver the final proposal. He says, I hope for the good of the Middle East that Hamas takes this deal because it will not get better. It will only get worse. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Patriot USA will share a border before too long. What, with Mexico, with Canada, or as Israel our 51st state? Deb is saying, I think Elon was really triggered by what seemed like disloyalty by Trump, so he lashed out. Both big egos and tempers. Trump is just a bit smoother about it. Yeah, and Trump taught Elon that you bark really loud, you flail your arms. It's wacky waving inflatable arm man. Wacky wavy inflatable arm man. It's wacky waving inflatable arm man. Anybody know what that's from? Type it in the comments. So Elon did the wacky waving inflatable arm man, get everybody's attention, and then you walk it back. That's the art of the deal. You go ba 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 bombastic, and then you go no. We can make this work. We can make this work. But Elon and all of his beautiful autism went absolutely fucking nuclear, saying that Trump's on the Epstein list. He's in the files. They got the video on him, or whatever he specifically said. Kenneth knows it. Good job, Kenneth. It's a wacky waving inflatable arm man. Elon went too far. Elon fucked up. It's okay that, and he could feel triggered by it. And maybe the EV mandates are going to hurt him personally. And he's like, oh, no, I'm not really concerned about that. He was concerned about that. I don't want an electric car. I don't want something that's going to take forever to charge. I want to just be able to fill up in 3 minutes and go along my merry way and travel across the country like I've always done. That's what I want. Yeah, Trump is much smoother about it. Deb is saying, I think Elon's laying low because the big bloated bill is passed. And he's pissed off about the contents because he feels it's fiscally irresponsible. It is fiscally irresponsible. There's no way around it. And I've said it's going to take a little bit of infrastructure and investment to undo 16 years of Obama deep state infrastructure that's been designed to take America down, because that's the Obama doctrine. He believes that America was built on the backs of durka. Insert all your Marxist commie talking points here. I told Michelle the other day, this nation was not built with liberty and freedom in mind. It's been built on the backs of the working class. And for that reason, I'm going to radically, fundamentally transform the United States of America into something unrecognizable. A commie totalitarian hellscape, if you will. I'm going to give them the old okey doke. And, a lot of folks say America built this great nation. No, you didn't. You didn't build that. You didn't build that. You built this because of there were Asians on the railroads, and there were slaves in the 1700s, into the 1800s even. And, we're going to punish people doing well now because reasons. That's the Obama doctrine. That's the Obama doctrine. Trump needs to reverse that, and he's going to have a war chest to do so. There are some really good things in that bill. Good things that we need to spend money on. We have to invest in the infrastructure of building our barriers, making sure that we're never going to have an illegal alien invasion of treason by Mayorkas, Biden, Harris, Obama ever again. That costs money. Obama, Biden have been gutting our military, literally handing it over to the Taliban in Afghanistan, destroying our resources and making us vulnerable for attack because, look, we deserve it. America, it's got a rich tradition of, just colonizing the world along with England. So my Obama doctrine, never once put out there, never once fully talked about or discussed. But it's the way it's got to be. What we're going to do is we're going to colonize Earth. And now take a look at Europe. Constantinople, Istanbul. Let's look at the ills of the Crusades. Bunch of white Christians taking over all the brown people, right? Atrocious. Deplorable, even. Ignoring the fact that that was in response to the Muslim overtake of the world. Colonizing is one of the great sins of the UK, England, Europe, and white people in general. And I know. Maybe I'm giving you the old okey doke because I'm half white. People tend to forget that, but I am half white. I know. But I do sort of despise that part of me. Therefore, I, Barack Hussein Obama, Barry Soetoro, Barry Obama, Born in Kenya, says the Harvard Law Review, that I was the author of. It must have been a mistake. Must have been a atrocious mistake. After all, I was the one that did the spell checking and the editing. So obviously someone else has to be blamed for that. Therefore, I, Barack Hussein Obama, will be colonizing Ireland and Scotland, France, Spain, the UK, basically anywhere in Europe that's not currently controlled by the deep state. We'll flood the zone. You know, they say in sports, I'm a bit of a basketball player, don't you know? Kind of tall and lanky. They call me Bathhouse Barry, but I was also Basketball Barry. Don't forget, I'm Basketball Barry. And Bathhouse Barry, too, don't you know? After. I don't know why I'm slipping in and out of Sarah Palin. Don't you know? I can see Alaska from my house. I can see Russia from my house. Don't you know? But I'm going to colonize all of these sovereign nations, full of people from Central America, South America, Africa. You know what? While we're at it, all across the Middle East. You know what? Fuck it. Everywhere. Ukraine, Russia, come on in. These nations, they've had it too good for too long. So under my plan of colonization of the Obama doctrine, I, Barack Hussein Obama, will be working with the NGOs, the non-governmental organizations, you know, under the guise, not the guys I'm hanging out in the bathhouse with. Ask Larry Sinclair about that one. Got any coke? But under the guise of humanitarian aid, U.S. aid, as it were, give them the old okey doke. You know, I often say, if you like your sovereignty, you can keep your sovereignty. If you like your freedoms in your nation, you can keep your freedoms and your nation. Remember, I said that with Obamacare. It's actually the Affordable Care Act. You could please stop calling it Obamacare. But we're going to radically, fundamentally change every sovereign nation into a globalist Marxist hellscape, while I use the founding principles, not of the Constitution, an antiquated document that a bunch of rich old white men wrote, but rather rules for radicals and Cloward and Piven to overwhelm a nation financially with burdensome policies and handouts. Will bankrupt them, and out of the ashes shall emerge a new phoenix rising for the New World Order and my reptilian shape-shifting overlords from the Pleiades galaxy. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? I meant to say, holla. I'm sorry, did I do that in public? I should not do that. What I meant to say is, we're going to redistribute, that's a good word, equality, we're going to bring equality, that's a good word, add diversity, because diversity is our strength, or something. And melting pot. Any other buzzwords? Yes, right. Diversity. I did say equality. Did I say equality? You know what? Inclusion. A lot of people from terrorist cells in Afghanistan have not felt appropriately included in the politics of Ireland, or Dearborn, Michigan, or Minneapolis, Minnesota, or Springfield, Ohio, or any other place we're trying to put enclaves to fundamentally transform your society. My name is Barack Hussein Obama, and line, and I approve this message. Can I get a timer on that? How long did I slip into Obama? Ew. Now I'm thinking about Larry Sinclair slipping into Obama. Allegedly. Good God. All right, a couple of comments here. Mike calls Barry's big ears love handles. No. Deb is saying, Bella, I agree. The Art of War playbook. Yes. I want justice in action so much. I say it all the time. In the interim, Trump is the only one I trust, that or the black pill, and I don't want that. Yeah, I know. But we still have to lean on Trump. We have to, like, bro, focus. Massey's not your enemy. Elon is not your enemy. Rand Paul is not your enemy. Like, focus. You're the best when you're going after the worst of the worst. You got some flare-ups with some of these other guys, but just focus. Just hammer where you're supposed to hammer. Yeah, this is a no black pill zone. Styx Hexenhammer. I don't know if you ever watch that guy. He dresses like a pirate now. I don't know what he's doing. But I think he has often said that it's a no black pill zone. He's not taking the black pill. Like, that's not what they're there to do. And we all struggle, Bella. Bella. We all struggle with the black pill. It's hard to stay positive sometimes. And Deb, you were saying that the show you watched last night, it's a lot of, oh, nothing's happening, nobody's doing anything. It's a lot of doom and gloom. I feel you. I hear you. But most of the time I try to keep. Kenneth busts me here in the comments. He's like, vibe check. He's like, dude, you're getting dark. You're going dark as fuck. I'll say, yeah, I'm going dark because, like, I'm getting frustrated. I got years and years of frustration here. But I try to keep my vibe check. I try to bring some comedy back. That's why I'll give you a 12-minute Obama impersonation. All right, let me buzz through the comments. Greenland is rich in minerals and gemstones, especially rubies. Yeah, let's go buy it. Or wait, we want Iceland or Greenland? We'll take Greenland. We want Orange Man to get Greenland. Deb saying Brian is exhausted from his rant. Well, oh no, that was from earlier even. I don't even know what rant you were talking about. Electric car, gas car. Kenneth just wants a car that gives him gas. Oh, was that Simpsons where he goes there? Alcohol fueled car. He goes into his fantasy land. He goes, one for you, ding. One for me, look, 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 look. One for you, ding. One for me, look, 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 look. Both fueled on alcohol. I know it's fiscally irresponsible, the big, beautiful boondoggle. I know. But we do have we got a lot to catch up on. We do. Michelle in a short dress looks like a bell. Michelle Abel. Now. Deb saying, okay, I got to ask Brian, did you take drama classes in high school or participate in school plays or musicals? You have such a dramatic flair. You cracked me up. Yay! I'll take it. No, I did not. But I haven't been on stage this week or last week. I guess I could go, but I want to write a new set. I've been doing open mic comedy, and I've been having a hard time squeezing my stuff into 4 minutes. So I think I want to take a new approach. But no, I never really did. I did act. Did I ever show you guys? Let me find this. I did act in something. Let me see. Have you ever seen American Psycho? I did act in this. Let me full screen this for you. We did a parody of this. And right off the bat, I play Carruthers in this scene. Survive? Okay.
Patrick, thanks so much for looking after Courtney. Dorcia, how impressive. How on earth did you get a reservation there?
Lucky, I guess.
Lucky, I guess.
That is a wonderful suit. Don't tell me. Let me guess. Valentino Couture.
Uh-huh.
Looks so soft.
Your compliment was sufficient, Lewis.
My compliment was sufficient. I'm Lewis Carruthers in this scene. This is an American Psycho parody. Like shot for shot, scene for scene.
Hello, Halberstram. Nice tie. How the hell are ya?
Alan has mistaken me for this dickhead Marcus Halberstram. It seems logical because Marcus also works at PNP and in fact does the same exact thing I do.
Anyway, this goes on. This is the parody scene. So this is one of several. I've always enjoyed doing acting and parodies and stuff. I really have. Anyway, let me get out of there. That was just I do some acting. All right, finish the comments here. Hey, the Pleiadians are innocent. I hope so. I like that little constellation that looks like a kite flying in the sky if you look at it. You think it's those pesky shape-shifting grays, perhaps? The Obama rant was approximately 4 minutes. Those are rookie numbers. They said you're going to have to get those. Those are rookie numbers. You're going to have to boost those numbers. Kenneth says his beer glass is always half full. Deb was saying she doesn't agree with that summary last night, that nothing's happening. She sees a lot of good happening. I think so, yeah. Use my joke about Alligator Alcatraz having Crocodile Rock as their theme song. Yes, I'll start with that. I'll lead with that. All right, what else do I have for you today? Is this my post? Yeah. Here's Joe Biden, and here's Joe Biden's auto pen. Barack Hussein Obama. Obama. Here's a picture of everything that's been wrong with this country for 37 years. The Bushes and the Clintons and the Obamas. Is this person a lady, or is it a lady like the swimmer lady guy? I don't know. Look, this is what it comes down to for Elon and where his frustration is about the budget. And it's fair. The Tea Party started, taxed enough already. Massive debt. Glenn Beck, remember the whole thing in the 2000s with Obama when the spending went, I mean, it was crazy under Bush. It was even worse under Obama. But we've been saying the same thing for 20 years and nobody's doing anything about it. Even our savior, Donald Trump. I say that mockingly because I don't have a savior in politics. That parody looks funny, but the guy playing Bateman isn't attractive enough. I have one more line at the end of it. Should I skip to the end of it? Well, the whole thing is like they're oh, doggone it. I'll show you another minute.
Good coloring. That's plain white. It's metallic blue around the sides. Extendable screen. Seals.
Seals.
That is very cool, Bateman. But that's nothing.
Instead of business cards, we're showing
Look
off
at this.
Cell phones.
That is really nice.
BlackBerry, mini keyboard, Bluetooth, trackball. What do you think?
Nice.
We tried to do the shot.
Jesus, that is really super. How'd a nitwit like you get so tasteful?
I can't believe that Bryce prefers Van Patten's phone to mine.
But wait, you ain't...
And that guy right there, Sean Flynn, he's the guy that helped me create the New American Media. He was my engineer, producer, co-host for the Unhappy Hour. Moved out to Los Angeles with him. He was the drummer in the band I was in, and I ended up singing for a while. So I guess I've performed on stage, not like comedy on stage, just performing. I was the drummer, but then I found another great drummer, and then he drummed for us. But then he died in a motorcycle crash. So anyway, this is Sean.
Seen nothing yet. Glass encased, touchscreen, the iPhone.
Impressive.
Very nice.
Very nice. Let's see Paul Allen's phone.
So anyway, this continues. And then here's my final line.
It even has a kickstand.
Something wrong? Patrick? You're sweating.
So there you have it. iPhone versus Android, an American Psycho parody. Where did I get billed? I got billed 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, I got 5th billing. It's Louis Carruthers. Not too bad. I got 5th billing on there. Maybe I should share this out just on X in case anybody wants to watch the full thing. Let me do that. Get out a full screen. I'll just put it on X. So if you're following us on X, we're at American_media_. I'm going to do TNAM humor. Okay. By the way, Elon just posted this. Dave Lee says just rein in spending and the Republicans could keep Elon on board. Elon says, all I'm asking is that we don't bankrupt America. Shrugging face. Here's Elon again. Back to this.
America is also going bankrupt extremely quickly. And nobody seems to, everyone seems to be sort of whistling past the graveyard on this one. You know, the Defense Department budget is a very big budget, okay?
Okay, hold on. Back to the defense, but yes, BlackBerry. It was old school. This was done. Does it say what year this was done? Well, we put it out 13 years ago, so yeah. What was the? Oh, okay. I'm a natural. Yeah, rosy cheeks. They made me they put makeup on me. I was playing the gay Louis Carruthers. I'm like, guys, the makeup's too much. They put like a little bit on my lips and some rosy cheeks. Like that was makeup. Did that look natural? To me, it looks unnatural. But, you know, acting. All right, back to Elon here. I know, so young. So young. All right, back to Elon.
It's $1 trillion a year, DOD intel, it's $1 trillion. And interest payments on the national debt just exceeded the Defense Department budget. They're over $1 trillion a year, just in interest, and rising. We're adding $1 trillion to our debt, which our kids and grandkids are going to have to pay somehow every 3 months. And then soon it's going to be every 2 months, and then every month. And then the only thing we'll be able to pay is interest. And if this is, it's just, it's just like a person at scale that has racked up too much credit card debt, and this does not have a good ending. And so we have to reduce the spending.
Mm-hmm. So you can't really hate Elon for trying to get a handle on that. All right. That's essentially what I wanted to share with you on today's show. Thank you so much for everybody being here. Thank you to Patriot Warrior, TX, John Boy. You guys got to help me remember. It's Mr. MAGA or John Boy. That's Patriot Warrior, Texas. We might have a new regular in the group. All right. Follow us in all the places at the bottom of the screen, please. Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odysee, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube, the New American Media. Signal and Telegram, TNAM and TNAM Chat. We're on X at American_media_, where I shared in TNAM Humor the parody of the American Psycho. That was fun. That was fun. And subscribe to our podcast on Spotify and Apple, The Agree to Disagree Show. Finally, if you would consider signing up on Patreon, like some of you have, thank you so much. We're on Patreon at the New American Media. Venmo and Cash App is our tip jar at Brian Engelman, and PayPal, Fuzz Installment at Yahoo, or at Fuzz Installment, depending on which one works for you. Thank you, everybody. John Boy, Mr. Maga, Deb from SAC, Bella, Kenneth, and everybody else lurking out there but not commenting. We appreciate everybody being here. Try to deliver you some facts, some updates, some insight, some humor, some laughs, and no blackpilling. No blackpilling. We'll be back again tomorrow with more information and fun and laughter. But connect with us in those other platforms because we share content all flipping day long. All day long, we're putting things on Facebook. Our private group is called TNAM's The Agree to Disagree Show. It's a Facebook group. If you're not in there, like we're active in there every day. X, we're active every day. Instagram, like we do the live shows once, but in between, we're doing all these other things. So link up with us, and we hope to see you again soon. Patriot Warrior John Boy says he enjoyed. Rock on. Thank you. We enjoyed having you. All right. So on behalf of everybody out there in the TNAM entertainment universe, I appreciate you. I love you. And we will talk to you again soon. Take care, everyone. Peace.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.